this goes into some detail, saved his money to buy iPads to, you know, video the kids so that he can help them be better bowlers. You know,
Right.
here's what you're doing. You see what you're doing versus what you should be doing. All that kind of stuff. His wife also got involved because this is a way they could spend time together in retirement. He was killed.
He was
Bob
among the
was.
first, I think, right?
Yes. And his wife, Lucy, of almost 50 years, was hurt. We do not know her status. Another person killed, murdered, Tricia Asselin, part-time employee at the Just-in-Time Recreational Center. And she was she ran to try to help. She was calling 911, and that's when the shooter shot her twice, killed her. That's what we understand. And the comments coming in from those who knew her is that she was a very selfless, giving person, trying to do the right thing in that moment. Joey Walker was the manager at Semenji's Bar and Grill, one of the 8 victims killed at that restaurant. His dad said that his son died while trying to stop the gunman. He picked up a butcher knife. Somewhere he has all that stuff by the bar. He tried to go at the gunman to stop him from shooting anybody else, but then he was shot and murdered. Jordan, Forest Park.
Yeah, did anybody ask the question, did anybody try to return fire? And the reason I mention that is I think Maine has the highest percentage of gun ownership of all the states. I think it's 50% or higher. They're very liberal on rules. You can go into a bar or a restaurant with a gun. You can't be intoxicated. Were there signs on those 2 establishments? No firearms. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, we asked that yesterday. Thanks for the call, Jordan. We talked about Maine's laws, which shall issue over 21. You don't need a permit to carry concealed if you're over 21. We don't know about the signage on those establishments. At least I haven't seen it reported. We don't know about any return fire or attempted return fire. At least I have not seen that reported. Those are good questions I'd love to know the answers to as well. It could be. I mean, this was obviously planned, and the suspect allegedly left a suicide note back at his place for his son. So the seemingly that was going to be death by suicide by cop. That
Right.
was his plan here,
Mm-hmm.
but then that obviously wasn't his plan, or that plan changed because he had an escape plan in his back pocket that he then executed. I don't know. But, I mean, it could be, too. It was bowling league night at the Alley. People are having fun, and they're enjoying each other's company and bowling. And this guy comes in and just opens fire. I mean, there's almost no time to react.
He's a madman trained.
Well,
He's
right.
a trained madman, and most people are not on that kind of edge.
And how long was he in there before he then went to the next location and did the same thing? I mean, these are all fair questions. We just don't know the answers. Ed and Glen Ellen.
Hey, Dan and John. I realize anything like this is a very fluid, quickly changing, but on my phone late that evening, I didn't read the whole story, but the headline on the phone was breaking news, 22 dead, 50 injured. And so when I woke up the next morning and heard 18 and 12, and it keeps changing all the time, but that have to be first, even though the details may be a little sketch or is always a problem.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I mean, they were all over the map. We reported, the reporting of 22 and 50 yesterday on the show too, but news outlets, as Mike Scott reported yesterday, had 14 to 22. The number of injured varied.
Adrenaline kicks in and people lose it.
Yeah, and trying to, are you double counting? I mean, just all of the mistakes you make when you're trying to get a handle of a situation that is pandemonious, All right, coming up at 5:38, We'll come back to the story a bit later, but at 5:38, we'll turn our attention to John Cass's recent piece over at johncassnews.com about BLM Brandon's plan or lack thereof for the Gimme Dat 10 cities for the migrants.
You like that illustration,
The scream?
huh?
Yeah.
That's going on
Nikki,
inside his head.
Nikki Whaley on the news now.
So far, so good. Not seeing too many issues inbound on the Stevenson. Good morning. It's 65 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. Minnesota Democratic Representative Dean Phillips is announcing his bid for the presidency. He made the announcement on Thursday saying although Biden has done a spectacular job for our country, data suggests that Democrats will be facing an emergency next November. He also argued Biden would be a weak Democratic candidate due to his age and falling approval ratings. Phillips recently left his House leadership position over Democrat support of Biden's re-election bid. Authorities are investigating after more than $100,000 worth of merchandise was stolen from a high-end sneaker shop on Chicago's near West Side. Police say an SUV crashed into the Flea Club early Wednesday. The burglars then stole merchandise from the store and got into several cars waiting outside and took off. And new ramp closures will begin on the inbound Kennedy Expressway next week. The shutdown starts Monday and will be used for ongoing bridge work and ramp repairs. News is a service of MyPillow. Big news, the MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. The proprietary technology makes them extremely absorbent, yet still provides that soft feel you look for in a towel. For a limited time, get 50% savings with promo code Amy. Visit MyPillow.com and use promo code Amy. I check the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
November 2nd, 2020 marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, tunein.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
This special announcement is for anyone experiencing osteoarthritis-related knee pain, rotator cuff shoulder pain, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol and triglycerides, or are interested in plasma donation. Contact Affinity Health today. Affinity Health is running paid clinical trials with no insurance needed. Call 630-491-1900 or go to affinityhealthcorp.com and click Join a Study to see if you qualify.
Retirement planning can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Tune in to Retirement and Income Radio, hosted by well-known Chicagoland financial educator Mark Kohler. Mark helps listeners in or near retirement protect their savings from market volatility while creating lifetime guaranteed income. Listen to Retirement and Income Radio Sunday afternoons at 3:30 on AM 560 The Answer, or call Mark now at 844-619-SAFE.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
So far, so good. Not seeing too many issues inbound on the Stevenson from 355 to Dan Ryan. That'll take you about 22 minutes. Inbound Eisenhower from Harlem out to the 90-94 split about 8 minutes. Outbound on the Edens from 290 out to about Deerfield, 22 minutes. Traffic is a service of Salem Surround, providing your business with industry-leading digital marketing strategy designed to surround your target audience and drive action. Go to surroundchicago.com today.
Now, your official weather forecast.
A couple of showers around this morning, otherwise clouds and breezy today. A thunderstorm by afternoon, high today 72. Cloudy, breezy night tonight. It'll be partly cloudy late, low 40. Turning cloudy tomorrow. It'll be a chilly day. The high tomorrow at 53. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, John Cass, johncastnews.com, also the Chicago Way podcast.
Hello.
All right, Edvard Munch, tell us why you think BLM Brandon is panic-stricken over the infusion of migrants into the city and the planning as to how to accommodate them. I thought he's setting up these gimme dat developments, like at 38th in California. You know, BLM Brandon's place, a gimme dat development. It sounds like it'll be just perfectly fine. The residents will get used to it.
He's panicking. He has no plan. I mean, the plan is chaos, as Ted Dabrowski told you and me this week, and it's just chaos. Okay, and using the CTU to stuff meetings and keep out community residents, to stuff the meetings with your own people, is not really smart politics, in that it might get you over the hump one day, but the resentment builds. And what are you going to do with the people? The city's overwhelmed. The city has no plan, and these people are swamping it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I note in your piece at johncastnews.com, you had the occasion to talk to Paul Vallis about this, Paul Vallis now taking up space at Illinois Policy Institute.
Well, I talked to him about policy, yeah.
Well, yeah, so with the policy, was he an opponent of the sanctuary city designation? Did he run against that?
I don't remember. I don't recall.
I don't think he did.
If
but
he
anyway,
did, it
go
wasn't.
ahead.
If he did, it wasn't a feature of his campaign. Look,
no, it wasn't.
Look,
no.
There's plenty to go around here. You know what opportunities that were missed, but to me, the main thing is that Brandon Johnson was selected because he was obedient. He was obedient to Tony Preckwinkle, Boss Tony of the Cook County Board and chairman of the Democratic Party. And he was obedient to Stacey Davis Gates, the political director of the Chicago Teachers Union, the machine now in Chicago. And both of these women are strong black women, and they both wanted their, pet. Now, I'm sorry that Johnson can't handle it, but I'm told that he's suffering from panic attacks because he didn't realize how difficult the job would be. And the job is difficult, and he talked his way into it. And now he's realizing that all eyes on Chicago in 2024 in the convention, Democratic convention here and Milwaukee convention in, just 90 miles away, Republicans. And everyone will be watching. And he just can't. He realizes he's going to look bad.
The whole co-mayor. He doesn't have agency. He's Stacey Davis Gates' bitch. He's Tony's bitch. All that stuff. Yeah. I'm not so sure actually.
Okay. He's his own man. he's really
No,
he's really
but,
his own man.
No. But that misses the point. The point is that these are dyed-in-the-wool Reds, all of them, and so that includes him.
Yes.
And so everybody plays a different role. I mean, I know from people that have interacted with Brandon Johnson that he, he's never seen a balance sheet. He has no idea what he's looking at. But you think Stacey Davis Gates does? You think Stacey Davis Gates pores over balance sheets at CTU or CPS? You think Tony Preckwinkle does at county? You think these are otherwise these are mad geniuses in the Cook County Board President's office and running CTU, and Brandon Johnson's the only useful idiot? They're all sort of useful idiots because they're ideological central planners that have limited skill sets.
Perfect.
But there's no mad genius here. There's no genius of any kind here.
I didn't say there was, but the fact is that they're all going down in this, and they'll take Chicago with them. They'll destroy lives. They'll destroy careers. They'll destroy a great city and a great county because of their Bolshevik nonsense.
Well,
and the people of Chicago, the people of the suburbs, you've been harping about this for a long time now. The women of Beverly and Western Springs, I'll just throw them in there. The ones who voted for to replace Danny Lipinski with what's her name,
Marie Newman.
Yeah, that's the same type. The same type that are in Wilmette and the same type that are in the western suburbs supporting Sean Casten, the same type. And you know what? You can have it. You've destroyed this. You've destroyed the region. Enjoy yourself. Eat it. Fata.
Yeah, well, they don't have to go there. Well, they don't have to go to the city anymore. They've got nice sushi places in Hinsdale and Clarendon Hills and on the North Shore. They don't
enjoy it.
Yeah, they've got playhouses and writers' theaters, and I mean they don't need to go there. And then they're only there for 4 months a year anyway, and then they go to Arizona or Florida or wherever.
Go to live with Dan down in Naples.
Yeah, right. So they get to walk away from the mess they made.
Mm-hmm.
The people that don't get to walk away are the people that these people purport to represent. This is the great irony. And they do represent them in the sense that the people that are faring the worst continue to vote for the people that are providing the worst. So it's a bit of a conundrum, sort of a riddle there.
Well,
I don't know what to tell people about this other than to describe what it is.
In this column today, panic attack in political Chicago over the Biden's migrants, I question whether or not black residents who are obviously furious about being told to get off the corner, get out of the park, move back. They're furious, but I don't know if they're going to vote against the Democrats.
Oh, this is you heard Pritzker and BLM Brandon. You heard the two of them. It's MAGA. This is a political stunt being pulled off by right-wing extremists and so on and so forth. And look, BLM Brandon can point to his buddy Eric Adams in the Big Apple and say, look, Big Apple, they're talking about handing out small tents to migrants and setting up. I'm not serious. I'm serious.
I know you
and
are.
Setting up camp-style shelters in public parks and so forth.
S'mores for migrants. Yeah, okay. And campfire songs. Yeah.
So this is what poor downtrodden mayors like BLM Brandon and like Eric Adams have to do because of these MAGA extremists, Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis. And of course, that MAGA pocket that we have in Streeterville in Chicago. So they're victims. And look, this is a city that is conditioned to play the victim. This is something that has befallen us. It's not something we did. Nobody's responsible except for MAGA and right-wing extremists. You don't think that sells? Of course it sells.
It does, especially in mainstream media that carries it and lives on that. It's like squirrels living on a nut. They live on it.
I mean, speaking of CTU and CPS and this crew, I mean, the stories yesterday, juxtapose these two stories in your mind.
All right.
CPS predicts $400 million budget deficit next fiscal year.
Yeah.
And then go down to Springfield. That dude from the Northwest Side, now state senator, who looks like 20 pounds of dung stuffed into a 10-pound bag, Bobby Martwick.
Oh, yeah, the real estate boy, right?
Bobby Martwick introduces legislation to compensate Chicago school board members for a job well done, obviously.
Well, the reading scores are up so high that they decided to pay them.
Well, I mean, it's just $400 million deficit after all that COVID money was, stuffed into these school districts. And but also, too, like it's a crisis. I mean, it's a $9.5 billion criminal enterprise. That $400 million represents 4% of their annual budget. Why are we even talking about this? So figure it out. But no. $400 million deficit after we've run through all the funny money the feds drop ship to us. And now it's time to compensate school board members. And by the way, how much are they going to make, you ask? Great question. They're going to set their own compensation. I mean, and so tell me about the paradigm shift that's coming to Chicago that's right around the corner. I mean, come on.
They're buying in and they're entrenching. That's all. And when the money runs out, you know what? Then they can eat it too.
All right, hold on, David. Actually, Jose at Midway, you're in Chicago. Answer.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Two things. Why does nobody look into the ownership of the 38th and California lot? Michael Patton and Sanchez Trucking. Another thing, the EPA.
Wait a second.
Is
that Mikey Taden's place?
It's him and Sanchez Trucking.
Okay. All right.
Is that right?
Yeah, and why does nobody? And they try to develop the land. It was contaminated. Now it's okay to put tents, I guess, huh?
Is that right?
I don't know. I don't know that for a fact.
Thanks for the call, Jose. No, I raised the question after that meeting at Kelly High School where Ramirez, the alderhuman, Delia Ramirez, said, the difference between this and Amundsen Park is that this is private property. So, okay, well, that prompts the question, whose private property is it and what kind of sweetheart deal are the owners of that private property getting? And I hadn't had time to ask around, but, boy, if it's Michael Tadden.
You could put any flavor on this stew, but if it basically comes down to how you doing, that's all.
Is Sanchez Trucking, that's Al Sanchez, right?
Well, it could be. I don't know if it's Al Sanchez.
All right, we're going to look into that. I appreciate the call, Jose. If you're right, then we definitely appreciate the heads up there. So we'll start digging now.
Let's put it this way: it's not in the Chicago Tribune. It's not.
Well,
in the
it's not going to be. Yeah, it's not going to be.
They're not going to touch it.
Yeah. David in Winnetka.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. So what BLM and Brandon should really be terrified about is. But he has more pressing issues, on his mind, such as getting his kids to soccer practice. Is that
he has a black wife and 3 black kids?
Come
at
on,
home,
y'all!
David.
Come on, y'all! I got schedules. I got a black wife and black kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Exactly. It's not necessarily the sheer numbers of the immigrants coming in, but what small percentage are people that want to kill us? True extremist terrorists that have snuck over, and when that all starts, that horrible thing that went down in Boston with however many people, 1822. That I'm just waiting for the next news story of those acts being committed by people that want to see infidels dead.
I'm waiting to find
David,
out
thanks.
When are these migrant women? Many of them are poor. Many of them are terribly poor. What are they doing for cash? Brandon? Hey, Mayor Brandon. What are they doing for cash? You got any investigation going on that?
Yeah, like these open and notorious sex traffic or sex worker prostitute areas in L.A.
I'm not accusing. I'm just wondering.
Well, in addition to that, but to David and Winnecka's point, again, 765 individuals on the terrorist watch list stopped by Border Patrol in this fiscal year. 40% were at ports of entry, 60% were not. But under Biden, you have 1.7 million gotaways.
But the MAGA Republicans,
you're telling me, and this is the point that Tom Homan made, and he's coming up on a forthcoming episode of my Counterculture podcast, by the way. But you're telling me that 1.7 million and America's enemies don't see what's happening on our southern border, and they're not going to try to get people in? Well, I mean, 765 interactions that we know of. And of the 1.7 million gotaways, there's no one that came in that has bad intentions for America, right? That strains the bounds of credulity a little bit, doesn't it?
Yes.
George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, Dan. Chicago's big heart has created a big problem for everyone.
Okay, thanks for the call. Is it a big heart? Is that what this is? There's not. Is this what compassion looks like?
You know what you want to talk about compassion is when disease starts rolling through and infections start rolling through those tent cities, Johnson's tent cities. He knows that'll happen. Scabies or whatever, respiratory problems, and that'll happen. And then you have deaths.
Well, here's one way you can make it up to everybody is you get those Gimme Dat grocery stores up and running.
How's that working out?
With crazy prices that you can't resist.
He should ask me and my brothers, the Cass boys, to show up and help him run his
Absolutely.
stores. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, volunteer to keep payroll down. I mean, contribute to the city that you love.
Right.
This is interesting. Reason Magazine actually picked up on this, and there is a case study and, of course, cautionary tale for the forthcoming Gimme Dat grocery stores to be featured in Chicago. In 2021, the Wall Street Journal dispatched a reporter to check out the municipal-owned grocery store in Erie, Kansas. Erie Market, which the city took over in 2021, is losing money almost every month. It has stiff competition from Walmart 15 miles away and a Dollar General across the street, reported the Journal. Yeah, that is stiff competition. Oh, my goodness. Erie Market has posted just one month of profitability during 2022, lost an aggregate $132,000.
That's because they don't understand politics over there. The city hall owned stores should exercise power and shut down all
Exactly, shut down the competition.
Right,
exactly.
And then you force the people to go to the government store.
Right.
Right.
Hey,
that's what a good socialist Marxist Bolshevik would do.
Exactly. Why don't you rouse some of those inspectors out of the palm and send them to the competition, right?
Exactly.
This is great,
Who cares
though.
about your Oplav?
This
Right.
is yeah, this is great. City officials aren't giving up. The store's manager said the goal for 2023 is to lose $100,000. So how are you going to make it up? Losing money every year? Scaling it.
What do you mean scaling?
I mean, it's just like how do you make money making change? It's the old
Right.
SNL skit. Oh, volume.
Right.
We're going to make it up on volume.
Right.
Reason points out, business is losing money, right? But this is money that's taxpayer money, many of whom aren't even using the store. I mean, right? This is all command control. And what are the prospects for quote unquote profitability in competition with Dollar General and Walmart? I'd say not high. But anyway, just a real world case study that the team, the Gimme Dat team, may want to examine for best practices, maybe lessons learned before they roll out the Gimme Dat chain in Chicago. You know what I'm saying?
I like this story.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Marvin in Burlington, your Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, I think that that's not going to change. Like you touched on earlier, what has changed in the black so-called population since the early '60s? Or even before that, they vote for the Democrats no matter what. Their economic situation doesn't change. And I sort of believe the ideologues or the powers that be or the cabal who's ever in charge wants to make it as bad as possible for people who are more individualistic minded, because then they're going to even get people like us to throw up our hands and say, we give up. because their ultimate goal, in my view, is to tear everything down. The thing that's standing in their way is the Constitution, and they want it torn down, and they want it rewritten in their vision, and that's not going to change. And
thanks for the call, Marva. Dan and John Casson for Amy J., Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Nick Philippus, co-owner of Joe Donut and a proud customer of Signature Bank. We're a locally owned artisan donut shop that focuses on chef-made small batch and craft donuts. We have 7 locations around the Chicagoland suburbs, with an 8th location coming soon. After opening our original stores in Glenview and Niles, we came to Signature Bank for financing for our new Mount Prospect location. From PPP and material delays in construction, Signature Bank was flexible and truly a banking partner that a small business like ours hadn't experienced before. Even their fraud department was able to stop a $30,000 fraudulent check from clearing our account. That allowed us to focus on selling donuts, knowing Signature Bank had our back.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
America First with Sebastian Gorka. Weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560. The Answer. News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560. The Answer. WIND Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
The U.S. goes on the attack in Syria. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After coming under attack there and in Iraq for more than a week, retaliating against Iran-backed militants who've injured more than 20 American troops in those attacks.
A pair of F-16s targeting 2 sites in eastern Syria. The Department of Defense says they were being used by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Now, the U.S. dropping the airstrikes on a weapons depot and an ammo storage area near Abu Kamal, right along the Syrian-Iraqi border. It's unclear at this point if there were any Iranian militants at the time of the strikes. Now, Secretary Lloyd Austin says the United States does not seek conflict, but said Iranian-backed attacks on American forces are unacceptable and must stop.
That's Fox's Brooks Singman. On day 21 of Israel's war against Hamas, ground forces have gone into Gaza a second straight day with a raid ahead of a planned invasion.
This time they went into the Shajaya region. This is some place that Israel says Hezbollah, or Hamas, I should say, has a stronghold, a lot of infrastructure. There was combat there. There were fighter jets in support of the troops that went in the ground.
That's Fox's Mike Tobin in Israel. One of the strikes killed the head of Hamas's intelligence unit. Palestinian officials say the Israeli bombings have killed 7,000 Palestinians in Gaza, where there's a lot of destruction, but not a lot of food, fuel, or medicine left. They still haven't found Robert Card, the suspected gunman in Wednesday's mass shootings in Lewiston, Maine, that left 18 people dead, 13 injured. Some more law enforcement is joining the manhunt,
including the elite Border Patrol tactical unit that, of course, found the prisoner who recently escaped in Pennsylvania. But state authorities, local authorities, federal authorities are spread out throughout Maine. They did focus last night on a couple residences, a couple properties in Bowdoin. That's where the accused shooter lives.
Fox's Nate Foy in Lewiston reports they didn't find him in those homes. People in the area still told to shelter in place. Many businesses closed, and there's no school. America.
Good morning. It's 65 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The U.S. has hit 2 facilities in eastern Syria used by Iran in what it calls self-defense strikes. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said in a statement on Thursday that at the president's direction, the strikes were carried out as a response to a series of attacks on U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria by Iranian-backed militia groups. The statement went on to say the U.S. does not seek conflict and does not intend to engage further. Several community groups and parents of Chicago public school students are speaking out about the current bus driver shortage. Katie Malowski with the organization CPS Parents for Buses talks about how families are being impacted by the crisis.
CPS has a responsibility, even if they say they don't need to guarantee it anymore, they have a responsibility to get our kids to these schools.
She adds that 5,500 students at magnet and selective enrollment schools are still without transportation. CPS leaders are hoping to hire 600 more bus drivers to go along with their current amount of 704. And the Illinois Gaming Board is granting a license for the new casino in Chicago. At yesterday's meeting, the IGB issued a new casino owner's license for Bally's Chicago. The board also signed off on a request from Bally's to operate its temporary casino at Medina Temple for an additional 12 months while its permanent facility is being built in Chicago. News is brought to you by PKF Mueller CPA professionals, businesses, and financial advisors. The Mueller CPA team is experienced, committed, and ready to help with record keeping, cash flow forecasting, expense reduction, budgeting, and more. Visit today at pkfmueller.com. That's pkfmueller.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560 The Answer on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Breakthrough Ideas, Linex of Roselle, and by the law offices of Stephen Leahy.
In the heart of Bedford Falls, one man faced incredible challenges in his business journey. George Bailey, a humble banker, knew that success often comes hand in hand with adversity. But George wasn't alone in his struggle. He discovered the power of resilience, innovation, friends, and community. Like George, your business may face obstacles, financial setbacks, fierce competition, IT nightmares, or unforeseen crises. But remember, it's not about the challenges you face. It's about how you overcome them. At Turnkey, we understand the George Bailey spirit. We're here to provide you with the solutions, guidance, and support you need to conquer your business and IT challenges. Whether you're a small-town bank, distributor, manufacturer, or a cutting-edge startup, we believe that every business has the potential to thrive. Together, we'll build a bridge to your success, just like George Bailey did in Bedford Falls. Join us at Turnkey. Let's write your own It's a Wonderful Business Life. Because like George, your dreams are worth it. Start a conversation today by visiting turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Even after 6 days, the New York Times refused to admit that they promoted terrorist propaganda as news. You'll remember they reported, based on Hamas claims, that Israel destroyed the Al-Ali hospital in Gaza and killed 500 people. They didn't even wait for sunrise to check those claims before running Hamas's story. Video and audio evidence supplied by the IDF added to the obvious conclusion in the first sunrise. An errant missile fired from Gaza landed on the hospital grounds. The Times, however, still won't report that. Instead, they wrote nearly a week later that Hamas had failed to make its case, when in fact they never offered any evidence at all for those claims. An editor's note issued a week later, but not included in either article, admitted to relying too heavily on claims by Hamas, without apology or corrective action. The damage has been done. The paper should change its motto for full accuracy: all the terrorist propaganda fit to print. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer. From the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Road construction is going to slow you down as the roadway is reduced down to 2 lanes on the Kennedy eastbound between Montrose Avenue and Ohio Street. Another area where road crews are working is on the Eden southbound between Elston Avenue and the Kennedy. Again, that's going to be reduced down to 2 lanes. Traffic's a service of the Salem Podcast Network. Hear the latest podcast episodes from Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Todd Starnes, Trish Regan, and many more when you subscribe for free at salempodcastnetwork.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
A couple of showers around this morning, otherwise clouds and breezy today. A thunderstorm by afternoon. High today 72. Cloudy, breezy night tonight. It'll be partly cloudy late, low 40. Turning cloudy tomorrow. It'll be a chilly day. The high tomorrow at 53. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning, John Cass, johncastnews.com.
Hey. Good morning.
Hey, look at this. It turns out that hate does have a home in Hinsdale. Well, we knew this. It also has a home, very comfortable home, at Hinsdale Central High School. That normally follows hate having a home in a place that allows ignorance to get settled in. And that happened long ago at Hinsdale Central High School. I know some Hinsdaleans probably listening think that Hinsdale Central is a good school. You can think whatever you want. Hinsdale Central High School Principal William Walsh said school officials were unaware of a reported incident of an anti-Semitic slogan displayed in a school classroom. DuPage PolicyJournal.com has a story, papers to which I'm affiliated. Here's the picture, too. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Krispy Kreme fundraiser, October 27th, Children of Gaza, before and after school and during lunch. And then there's a drawing of the Palestinian flag.
Well, wait a minute, Dan. So if you're publicly advocating the elimination of Jews from Israel, then is that a hate crime?
Well, you'll have to ask, these hate crime things.
Right.
Yeah, you'll have to ask Bob Berlin about that. But the person responsible for this is Sophia Rahman, who is a social studies history teacher at Hinsdale Central and has been since 2012, it turns out. That's according to her LinkedIn account. This was in her classroom. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. We've talked about that. Essentially a rallying cry used to euphemize the real position, which is the elimination of Israel and Israelis. The American Jewish Committee notes the phrase is inherently anti-Semitic as it represents the idea of Palestinian control over the entire territory from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean, which includes the land of Israel. This is, of course, there's nothing, of course, anti-Semitic about advocating for Palestinians to have their own state. However, calling for the elimination of the Jewish state, praising Hamas or other entities who call for Israel's destruction, or suggesting that Jews alone do not have the right to self-determination is anti-Semitic, according to the American Jewish Committee's translation of that phrase. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I'm not done on Miss Rahman. Miss Rahman, the social studies teacher at Hinsdale Central. We also understand that Sophia Rahman, according to sources, does not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance because the United States is, quote, not her country. Sophia Rahman, Miss Rahman, your history teacher at Hinsdale Central.
You're taking our tax dollars, but this is not your country.
Not her country.
Right.
She's also retweeted posts of Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar is so noxious that even her own party was forced into censuring her for her anti-Semitic ravings online. Who else uses the phrase around town? Well, yeah, Chicago City Council Housing Committee Chairman Alderhuman Byron Sigcho Lopez, who's a Marxist, new Marxist.
What about Chuy Garcia?
He uses that phrase.
What about Chuy Garcia, Congressman?
Sure, yeah. So how about that Hinsdale Central? What's going on there?
When they used to play Lyons Township, they would dress up in soccer. They would wear white trash bags, like Glad bags or hefty trash bags, and scream about how the kids from Lyons Township were white trash.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, that's how they played.
The whole it's okay, it's all right, it's okay. You're gonna work for me someday or work for us someday. Yeah, that whole attitude. I get it. Well, that's not surprising either. But I just from the adults here. Where do the kids get it? Of course, from the adults here, like your history teacher that's been there for a dozen years.
Who doesn't love America? Who doesn't really respect America or like America?
Not her country.
Not her country.
But love to audit that history
Give
class.
me the money and give me the rights and give me the benefits, but not my country.
I wonder if she's contributing to this data. I mean, this is unsurprising. There's been survey research like this before, but in this moment, it bears a refresher. Almost 2/3 of young American adults do not know that 6 million Jews were killed during the Holocaust. Almost 2/3. I wonder how many are Hinsdale Central grads. More than 1 in 10 believe Jews caused the Holocaust. I wonder how many are Hinsdale Central grads, again, given their history teacher. According to the study of millennial and Gen Z adults 18 to 39, almost half could not name a single concentration camp. I'm surprised it's only half. I would have guessed 90%. Almost a quarter, 23%, say they believe the Holocaust was a myth or had been exaggerated or they weren't sure. So, Art Butts over at Northwestern has done his job and these other Holocaust deniers. That's what you're getting out of the schools. Joe in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I'd like to point out the hypocrisy that here's something that's blatant that the left is doing that's anti-Semitic, but if they have a picture of me with an OK sign, oh my gosh, that's so racist, I need to be canceled. Because, white supremacy is the biggest threat to democracy, according to Biden and his administration.
What? There has to be a prohibition against editors because editors allow that crap in newspapers. They allow it.
Allow which crap?
Like I'm doing now. I'm giving you the OK sign in the camera. That's apparently racist because I'm like this. Okay.
Right.
What? I don't get that.
So nobody wants to defend Hinsdale Central? I'm disparaging this bastion of enlightenment, Hinsdale Central, and one of the most educated, forward-thinking hamlets in Chicagoland area, filled with talented people doing wonderful things.
The anguish that Dan Proft is creating for the good matrons of Hinsdale is. You can't even measure it.
What about the women, in addition to the matrons?
Oh, you think the matrons are the male counterparts, right? Yeah.
It's tough to tell. Just because somebody's in activewear, don't rush your judgment.
Well, they might be those guys who are running out to get Lululemon pants.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Lululemon golf pants.
Yeah, right.
All right. Leo Leibovitz, writing in City Journal, American banlieue. Banlieue, for those who live in Hinsdale, is basically a French word for suburb. Just like the French suburbs that catch fire quite literally every time their disgruntled residents decide that they're not fond of a particular policy or a bit of breaking news, we now have bonfires in Bay Ridge and pinheads at Penn marching around and cheering on Jewish genocide. And just like those French suburbs, one major reason for this vile and violent degeneracy is a new generation of young people who no longer feel bound to their fellow citizens in any meaningful way. Leo Leiboviz's personal story. I'm an immigrant. I spent a handful of my most formative boyhood months crouching in a bomb shelter on the outskirts of Tel Aviv, watching Hussein's Scud rockets bursting in air as American Patriot missiles intercepted them before they could wreak havoc. Seeing American soldiers fighting abroad for freedom, my freedom, moved me deeply. It inspired me. As soon as I was able to move here, to fly a large American flag outside my apartment door and to raise my American children to cherish this nation and its divinely inspired mandate of pursuing life, liberty, and happiness. Who would you rather have teach history at Hinsdale Central, Leo Leibovitz or Miss Rahman, Sophia Rahman? The most extraordinary thing about my personal story, writes Leibovitz, is how ordinary it is. Bay Ridge, this charming neighborhood in the southwest corner of Brooklyn, where some of the worst pro-Hamas riots erupted last week, is itself a tapestry of so many similar stories of young men and women coming to America in search of its goodness and greatness. The neighborhood was once home to America's largest Norwegian community. Then came the Italians and the Irish and the Greeks, followed by the Puerto Ricans and the Mexicans, the Jordanians and the Egyptians and the Syrians. Different people, different ethnicities, different faiths, yet a shared sense of place, and more importantly, of destiny. Whatever else these immigrants believed, whatever else they carried with them from their homelands, they all had this in common. America was their home, and you don't set your home on fire.
The suburbs he's talking about are the suburbs of the North Africans, Algerians, and others who have never been part of French society. Not really. Not allowed in. I mean, they could live there and work there, but they've never been welcomed as part of the society.
Well, that goes both ways.
Yes,
There's also
yes.
a lot of separatism that's afoot there.
Of course, but, you know, some of us have argued for many years that this balkanization, these, identity politics and all this, the identity politics, the balkanization of America is what was leading us down a terrible path.
Of course it is.
And,
I mean,
and
Thomas
we can see it. Yeah.
I go back. This is because it's just the most stark answer you're going to get, and from somebody whose bona fides are legion.
Right.
Thomas Sowell, when he was asked by Peter Robinson, if social justice warriors got their way, got everything they wanted, what would America look like? And Thomas Sowell said quite simply, we'd be killing each other.
Rwanda.
Because there's
Right.
nothing left there's nothing that binds us together. It's just our identity, and it's king of the hill. So back to Leibovitz just a second. So from his description of Bay Ridge in Brooklyn, with all the different different nationalities that emigrated to this neighborhood and the country. And by the way, that's what people like John Cass and people like me want to see. It's great. Exactly what Leibovitz is describing. For any time somebody wants to give you this xenophobe line, it's like calling you racist. They don't have an argument. They don't have anything important to say.
They're just
so they
trolls
rely
on Twitter
on that.
without the ability or
of
guts
course.
to grow a pair of names.
Of course. So what changed? Asked Leibovitz, and he answers it. Although it's incomplete because it's complicated. Why would these youthful Americans hailing from Staten Island and Brooklyn and Queens throw punches and pelt the police with eggs? Their parents, after all, never did that, not during previous rounds of Israeli-Palestinian altercations, not during America's failure to keep its promise to intervene in Syria's Assad massacred hundreds of thousands of its own people, not even during America's bungled invasion of Iraq. Why now? Well, one part of it may be they got their education from a morally bankrupt school system held hostage by a pernicious union that was quick to co-sponsor one of the first pro-Hamas rallies in the city and defend teachers who giddily supported terrorism. Sound familiar? CPS, Hinsdale Central.
Yes.
Hate has no place on our campus, says the principal. Well, you better go check your history teacher's classroom. It may be in part because our colleges have committed themselves not to the free and unfettered exchange of ideas, but to peddling the sort of paganism that drives some professors in Ivy League schools to behold the beheading of babies and feel, quote-unquote, exhilarated at such, quote-unquote, awesome examples of resistance.
That moron is still teaching, right?
The exhilarated guy at Cornell is on leave.
Oh, okay.
But just on leave. He'll be back. And if not at Cornell, somewhere else. Guarantee it.
Dance of the Lemons. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Pass the trash.
Right.
And listen, this is too. I missed this one earlier until I read Leibowitz's column. Listen to this. It may be because most of our chic magazines now employ bozos quick to take to social media to accuse Jews of collaborating with the Nazis, or at the very least of vastly exaggerating the reports of their own suffering. I hate Illinois Nazis. Last night, this is Eric Levitz in the New York Magazine. Last night, I asserted that this report indicated that babies were beheaded. This was an overstatement. I should have said that the report established that babies were found headless, a fact that lends plausibility to the claims of beheading, but which does not prove them.
Because
What?
you didn't see
What?
you didn't see Biden taking the money from the Ukrainian boss, right? So he's not corrupt? Is that what you're saying?
What?
You moron?
I reported that babies were beheaded.
Right.
That's an overstatement. I should have said babies were found headless.
What culture produces
That lends
men like
plausibility to the claim of beheading, but does not prove. Did they behead themselves, Eric?
Can you
What
find
the
out
I
what
mean,
is
honestly,
going on with the chinless men, chestless men? Why don't you find that out? Where did they go wrong? Where did they become chinless and chestless? When did this happen?
Right. So Bay Ridge is Hinsdale Central.
Yes.
Bay Ridge today, not the good Bay Ridge. Bay Ridge today, the one that Leibowitz is describing, is Hinsdale Central. It's the Chicago public school system.
Right.
It's the Banlieues of Chicago, most of the suburbs. Oh, and by the way, unlike the stilted coverage you get from these Hamas collaborators in the Chicago Press Corps, and at Hinsdale Central, and at Northwestern University, and every other institution that is morally bankrupt, we'll cover it all. So the story that the NPR Times, state-funded media, has reported, to the exclusion of any reporting on crimes directed at Jews for being Jews.
What's their flavor now?
A suburban Palestinian family threatened to remove Free Palestine sign from lawn or burn. Lila Gaber, who lives in Hickory Hills, put this Free Palestine sign in her yard with the Palestinian flag. Fine, every right to do that. She received an anonymous letter from someone basically saying, take the sign down or burn, which is not appropriate. You can disagree with her. She has a right to put the sign up and
don't tell her to take it down.
Make
and
her case.
Burn it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course not.
You don't. It's a crime.
Of course not. And no one from this side.
No one is defending that.
No one from conservative talk radio.
Oh yeah.
Certainly not on this show.
Right.
Is suggesting that anybody treat a person poorly, regardless of their viewpoint, or
wasn't the national
in terms of violence or threats of violence, regardless of their viewpoint, regardless of their ethnicity, and regardless of anything else.
Didn't the NPR Times blame, if not you, talk radio in general?
Talk radio, conservative talk radio for
the murder of a 6-year-old?
Yeah, the 6-year-old Palestinian boy in Plainfield. Right. His the alleged murderer listened to talk radio, said his wife. So you connect the dots, right? You do the math.
Right.
They're disgusting.
I worked with them for 40 years, and I can't believe that I still have any friends outside of like, I'm glad I have you as a friend. I mean, other conservatives, but it's a strange life to live that way, live that way and think that way.
And it is, and it's a strange life too, to see barbarism and pretend you don't, or to call it something else. It's barbarism. You're allowed to be barbaric, to the tip of my nose in terms of your viewpoints,
Don't touch
and we'll do intellectual battle. Yeah. But to be unable to draw moral distinctions on these issues, particularly when people know better, they're just cowards, is really something to behold. And that's where you have, for example, Bay Ridge or a high school campus or these college campuses turn
Or this
into
Hinsdale.
what they are now from what they used to be once upon a time.
As long as the parents, as long as the people of authority, the people who pay taxes, if you keep buying the Tribune because you like the crossword puzzle, you're supporting the editorial part of it too.
Oh my
Same
gosh,
thing.
Crossword puzzle.
Whatever.
Come on, up your game. It's easy.
I don't play crosswords, okay? But I mean, if you do that,
Sudoku. You're more of a Sudoku guy.
I don't play any games like that. But I used to read.
Word jumbles?
I used to read Gil Thorpe, okay? But the point is, if you support anything like that in a media like a newspaper, you're supporting the politics of the newspaper. Same as if you're supporting, I don't know, you're having a bake sale for the Hinsdale library, the Hinsdale library, the people there. You're supporting Hinsdale. And Rothman, or whatever his name is.
Steve, South Elgin.
Good morning, Dan and Jen.
Yay.
I wanted to touch on the Holocaust thing not being taught in school. My kids go to St. Charles schools, and in middle school they go straight from talking about slavery and the Civil War and skip right to the Civil Rights Movement. There's no talk of Cold War, of World War II, or any of it. It's not even touched on.
First there was slavery, then there was the Civil Rights Movement. Anything happen in between? Nope. Okay.
Well,
thanks for the call, Steve. All right. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Courtney in Highland Park.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. I'd like to bring attention to the Illinois Holocaust Museum, which is not doing their job. And if there are other Jewish people listening to you, take note. I went there as a chaperone, and I was shocked at what they call the Take a Stand exhibit, which is just social justice, leftism steeped in. They have a huge poster light up of Carly Lloyd, pictures of Billie Jean King, writings about LGBT kids or asking for more books, LGBT books in their kindergarten class. Jews and non-Jews alike should go. And I wrote the board twice, to which you can imagine I heard cricket.
Mm-hmm.
I am so disappointed, and they should be called out. They are part of the problem. They have lost, absolutely gone off the rails, and have lost credit when we have real anti-Semitism in the suburb of Skokie, where I grew up. It's a shame, and I just want to call attention to it.
I have cousins
Glad
who
you did.
volunteer there.
Yeah.
And,
thank you, Courtney.
They volunteer there, and I have never heard of this, but I'll bring it up when I see them.
I mean, right, 2/3 of 18 to 39-year-olds never heard of the Holocaust, and the Holocaust Museum is doing pitches for LGBTQ promotion in sports. Billie Jean King is the spokesman for the Holocaust Museum. What the hell is going on?
I don't have any idea.
Oh boy, John in Wakanda.
Yeah, hi guys. Didn't Jesse Jackson call New York City Town years back? He was a trailblazer. He was calling them. He started out long ago. But what I wanted to say was that the youth of America now, they found an easy target for protesting with George Floyd, and then 2020, and then against Trump, and then the trans stuff, all this stuff. But now they've run into a buzzsaw with the Jews and this issue. It was very easy though. Make Jews white is what happened. They've now been transformed into whites, just like the Asians
colonists
transformed into white. They're right. So
colonial.
So that's what's going on. Yeah, they're running into resistance now, which is interesting.
Well, thanks for the call, John. Coming up at 6:36, Kevin Brock, former Assistant Director of Intel for the FBI, on the Trump trials and Biden Inc. Now we get Nikki Whaley for the news.
Good morning. It's 65 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The U.S. military says a Chinese fighter jet came within just feet of an Air Force B-52 bomber over the South China Sea. The U.S. Indo-Pacific Command says that the incident happened Tuesday and the Chinese pilot flew below, in front of, and within 10 feet of the B-52, putting both aircraft in danger of a collision. The city of Chicago is launching an initiative dedicated to advancing new solutions in public safety, smart government, and connected infrastructure. The primary objective of the Chicago Task Force on Innovation and Technology is to improve technology for city issues and services. The CTIT brings together a diverse coalition of public and private sector organizations to resolve Chicago's most critical issues. News is a service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority, Chicagoland's largest and most respected fireplace and chimney company. Call to schedule your appointment today at 630-279-8500 or visit their showrooms in Lowell or Elmhurst or online at fireplaceandchimneyauthority.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful at lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question, and the owners of Relief Factor tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. That's right, designed to heal, and I agree with them. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, yes, 100% drug-free ingredients, each helping your body deal with inflammation. Each of the 4 ingredients deals with inflammation from a different metabolic pathway. That's right there, approaching from 4 different angles, maybe why so many people find such wonderful relief. So if you have back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, knee, or foot pain from exercise or just getting older, you should order the 3-week quick start, discounted to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you. It has for about 70% of the 500,000 people who've tried it, and they've ordered more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF, the number 4RELIEF, to find out about this offer. Feel the difference.
Did you know most vitamin supplements have a warning label on the back? That's because without the synergy of thousands of nutrients working together that are found naturally in whole fruits and vegetables, vitamins are not balanced. This is why Balance of Nature only uses whole fruits and vegetables, no isolates or synthetic vitamins of any kind. We take a variety of 31 of the highest quality fruits and vegetables and remove the water without changing the rich chemistry. It's then ground to a powder, blended to perfection, and encapsulated, preserving the nutrients and making it easy to get the fruits and vegetables you need. So even though Balance of Nature comes in a capsule and looks like a vitamin, it's very different. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran. Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
See some pretty heavy delays inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to 290, about 34 minutes. It'll take you about 18 minutes inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to Montrose. The Eden's still looking pretty good. Inbound on the Edens from Deerfield to 229. and inbound on Eisenhower from Harlem to the 90-94 split. This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. As the leaves change, lead the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates, all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Now, your official weather forecast.
A couple of showers around this morning, otherwise clouds and breezy today. A thunderstorm by afternoon. High today 72. Cloudy, breezy night tonight. It'll be partly cloudy late, low 40. Turning cloudy tomorrow. It'll be a chilly day. The high tomorrow at 53. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas, great coffee, period. Roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is John Cash, JohnCashNews.com, Chicago Way Podcast. Sign up, pay up for John's musings and a lot of contributors that he has on his at his outlet as well. Maybe someday me if I'm so lucky. Glenn Kirshner is a former assistant U.S. attorney, which is a baffling statement on its face when you listen to this guy. He is a legal analyst for MSNBC, and he is advocating that Trump be imprisoned pending trial. He is a greater threat to the public than, I don't know, just about anybody else that Mr. Kirshner can think of. Take a listen to his argument.
You know, Nicole, I would argue that the institutions of government are proving themselves ill-equipped or perhaps not up to the task of treating the sort of ultimate ruling class criminal, a former president of the United States who tried to install himself in the Oval Office over the will of the American voters as a dictator. He tried to bring an end to the American experiment. It doesn't feel like the court system or the institutions of government writ large are meeting the urgency of the moment. And, you know, when I was sitting in court when the gag order was originally being argued, and I heard Judge Chutkan say the following, if it were any other defendant who was on release pending trial in a felony federal case who accused the prosecutor who was handling his case of being a deranged thug, that person would be in pretrial detention. You know, Nicole, one, that is indisputably true. And two, it is so disheartening because it is an express recognition that we're treating Donald Trump differently than, and here's the real injustice of it, the tens of thousands of other pretrial detainees all across this country who are sitting in jail cells awaiting trial because a judge has determined by clear and convincing evidence that they are either a flight risk or a danger to the community. I would hazard a guess that not a single one of them is as dangerous to the community or to society or to our democracy as is Donald Trump. But the system is, for whatever reason, declining to meet the moment.
You know who's dangerous? This guy. And anyone else who supports this fellow at any party, social gathering, I can imagine them all. All the journalists who scream about authoritarian rule are the ones who would jail a political opponent.
You know what the problem is with the system? It's going too easy on Trump.
He's gonna win, and that's why the system sucks. Right?
This is great. First of all, there's nothing. I mean, this guy is supposedly an officer of the court. He's Exhibit A in why people have completely lost faith in the Department of Justice. Ruling class criminal. I'm sorry, Counselor, has President Trump been convicted of something ruling class criminal, a dictator. Has that been established? That's what he sought to do. He was going to suspend Congress and the courts and install himself as an autocrat.
But I mean, I don't think people really understand how oppressive this kind of thought is when you deal with it day in and day out, like in the media, in the social gatherings of the Tribune and Sun-Times and people like that. It is constant.
And excuse me, if somebody called a prosecutor deranged thug, that would be the occasion to hold them in detention pending trial if they were bonded out? No, number one. Number two, by the way, this isn't just, right-wing extremist, conservative talk radio guy. Oh, by the way, the ACLU has rediscovered the Constitution.
Oh, God. They support him now, too, right?
No, they support Trump.
Yes, that's what I mean.
The gag order that Kirshner wants not only instituted, it's been temporarily paused so that both sides can submit arguments, but Kirshner not only wants it imposed, he also wants it enforced and Trump jailed. Imprisoned right now. But the ACLU, talking about this gag order, which Chutkin, the Obama-appointed judge, any public statements that target the special counsel, defense counsel, blah, 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 target. The ACLU, in their brief, said that her gag order is unconstitutionally vague. The meaning is ambiguous, fails to provide fair warning that the Constitution demands, especially when, as here, concerns a prior restraint on speech, and so on and so forth. The ACLU, of course, which is a tool of the left, even felt compelled maybe to sort of try to rebrand themselves as actually interested in constitutional protections, even of people they don't like, which, of course, is the point of constitutional protections.
Right.
Maybe that. But regardless, so the ACLU's with me, and we're up against Nicole Wallace and Glenn Kirshner. Good grief.
I remember
honestly.
When the ACLU represented Nazis going to Skokie.
Well, again, when the Constitution is supposed to protect people you don't like, you disagree with. Otherwise, what would the need be if everybody agreed and was going to behave the same way on everything all the time? Mm-hmm. Of course. It's the hallmark of a free society, but the ACLU is sort of just has dalliances with the Constitution today. For more on this and other matters, please be joined by Kevin Brock again, former Assistant Director of Intel for the FBI, former Principal Deputy Director of the National Counterterrorism Center. Kevin, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure, Dan, John. Nice to talk to you. How are you doing?
Hey, did you ever run across Glenn Kirshner in your time at the FBI?
No, and nobody like him, actually. Although I tend to agree with him. The privileged class does get treated differently. Look at what's going on with the Biden family.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Where there's a lot more indicators of criminal activity than we've ever imagined with Donald Trump. And I'm not saying that as a Donald Trump fan, but I mean, just objectively, you look at what's going on with the Bidens and all the information that we know publicly, clear indications and ample justification for federal investigation from Joe Biden all the way down through the rest of his family.
Well, what's going on at FBI headquarters where they can, as per Grassley's letter the other day, where they can ferret out and flush out and basically destroy and discredit sources that they're working with.
John, look at the totality of what we've seen so far. We've seen a number of whistleblowers come forward in frustration from both the FBI and the IRS. That doesn't happen unless there's something there to be frustrated about. You've got allegations by Grassley of 40 confidential human sources reporting information involving criminal activity of the Bidens. I find that a little bit hard to believe. I mean, 40 informants on one issue is a lot in the FBI. Usually that's a major nationwide criminal organization. So I'm wondering whether it could be 40 reports. But nevertheless, if it is true, it indicates that there is a substantial amount of people offering information about criminal activity, and yet nothing seems to be moving forward. And why is that? And there's frustration being expressed by line agents, by line assistant U.S. attorneys, and even the U.S. attorney in Pittsburgh saying that this is going nowhere. So I see one of two explanations.
Yes, let's
Number one, the information that they've aggregated so far, they're struggling to get to a chargeable offense. In other words, they just don't have the evidence yet. Now and I know it may not sound plausible, but it's difficult to make cases, particularly when it involves bribery. Number two, though, I think
just go look at what they're doing to Mike Madigan, and then
Mike Madigan. Well, let's not do Illinois. You can't get to the evidence if you're not looking for the evidence. That's the real issue, it seems, at the FBI.
Well, and that's my second point. The second point is, and I think it's becoming abundantly clear, we've got a Department of Justice that's just not going to charge the Bidens. I mean, if you have a Department of Justice that was willing to do a search warrant raid of Joe Biden's likely adversary in the 2024 presidential election, if you've got a DOJ that's willing to do an early morning raid of journalists over a $20 diary of a president's daughter, then you've got a DOJ that's not going to charge them for these things. It's becoming clear that this is just not going to happen.
You mentioned the former Pittsburgh U.S. Attorney Scott Brady. The testimony that he offered to the House Judiciary Committee was that his team found credible evidence in its initial review of Hunter Biden's dealings with Burisma and possible corruption by Joe Biden to refer criminal matters to 3 separate U.S. attorneys' offices in Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Delaware. And almost immediately after resigning to justice in 2020, Brady said he encountered resistance at both the FBI and the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office that at times required him to escalate to his bosses in the Deputy Attorney General's office. I think there was this is his quote, I think there was reluctance on the part of the FBI to really do any tasking related to our assignment and looking into allegations of Ukrainian corruption broadly, and then specifically anything that intersected with Hunter Biden and his role at Burisma. It was very challenging, which is euphemistic lawyer speak for saying I got shut down.
It seems like there was a lot of work done on the ground. So agents doing investigations, United States attorneys getting information and trying to build cases, and then it would run into a roadblock either at FBI headquarters or at Maine Justice, or referring to these other U.S. attorneys around the country that were supposed to be looking into this. It would come to full stop. So why is that? And that we don't know yet, but it looks like the word was out that the case isn't going to go anywhere, and that's why you've got whistleblowers, and that's why you've got people talking to Grassley out of frustration. So, it's. I don't think it's systemic throughout the FBI or the U.S. attorneys, assistant U.S. attorneys across the country, but I do think there's an effort higher up to thwart this investigation. It looks like it anyway.
When will the FBI clean itself? Is it possible that the FBI can cleanse itself?
Absolutely, and I resist the talk that from some presidential candidates. Well, we've got to disband the FBI. We got to start over again. That would be a fool's errand. It would be throwing out an awful lot of baby with bathwater. The FBI is still doing amazing things, and we actually need the FBI more now than ever right now, when we've got reports of belligerence from state-sponsored terrorism countries and known members of the watch list coming into this, being confronted at our borders right now, and a surge that's taken place over the last year and a half. That's extremely worrisome. We need the CIA and the FBI to be determining what's behind that, where these people are, and then taking action to investigatively neutralize them. That's a clear and present danger, far worse than anything else we're talking about. And I'm not belittling or downplaying the danger of having a person in the White House right now who took enormous amounts of money into his family, and then is sending enormous amounts of money to the Ukraine and enacting policies that are friendly to China. That is scary and dangerous. But the FBI is, it gets amplified. This stuff gets amplified, but the FBI is still doing a lot of things that are important to this country that we can't interfere with right now.
And how much culpability does Christopher Wray have for knowing all this information that's coming out now, and doing nothing about it, not uttering a word about it, not providing any indication of a reckoning inside the agency, of a course correction inside the agency? So how do we view the FBI? How do you trust the FBI with that kind of leadership?
And that's the problem, and I've written about this extensively. I said the number one job of an FBI director is to make sure that the American people have faith and trust in the FBI, because once that's lost, we have lost faith in a vital institution that makes this democracy run. If you don't have an objective law enforcement that's looking at corruption issues fairly and evenly, then where are we? So insofar as that trust, that mistrust still exists, and obviously you're expressing it, Dan, almost on a daily basis, then the FBI director is not doing that which he or she is supposed to be doing, and so there should be more. I've always called more transparency. Do not hide behind the standard language of, well, this is an ongoing investigation, we really can't comment. It doesn't cut it in this day and age. Yeah. There are ways to be more transparent and to be more cooperative with the overseers in Congress, and that has to improve. There's no doubt.
Well, the good news is you've got company. I also don't trust the Department of Homeland Security, and that's continuing to deteriorate. This information out this week, emails that were gained through FOIA requests. The misinformation team and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency within DHS had settled on a narrative for Hunter Biden's laptop by the following week after the New York Post story. Guilt by association with the Russian state and QAnon, and disinterest in authenticity and integrity, despite the FBI confirming nearly a year earlier that it was indeed his laptop, according to a contemporaneous IRS memo. So the FBI knew it was his laptop. The IRS knew it was his laptop. And a year after the fact, DHS runs a disinformation campaign sponsored by the Disinformation Board and all these intel and top law enforcement people that put their name on that letter.
Right. Well, and exactly. That letter is an indicator of how deep this goes. You got 51 former intelligence community, 90% of them were CIA intelligence community executives, signing a letter saying that this has all the classic earmarks of a Russian operation, when in fact the person who organized the letter, Michael Morell, admitted that he did it just to help Joe Biden, get elected.
Yeah. But the others signed it, and
and the others signed it, and to this day, John, most of them say I'd sign it again. I mean, it's
Leon
that tells you right there.
Yeah, we just said, it could be. It just has the earmarks. We didn't say it definitely was. Yeah, that's real. That's really exculpatory. And by the way, the FBI knew that was a lie, and nobody at the FBI said anything when they put that letter out.
No, they didn't, but nobody at the FBI was asked to sign the letter either, thankfully. And I know many of those individuals. I'm thankful they didn't ask me to sign it. I wouldn't have, but it's
my brother didn't sign it. My brother Nick did not sign it, and
his brother's CIA.
He was in this. Yeah. He served for 30 years to this country, and there are many people who dealt in senior intelligence and counterintelligence matters critical to the United States that did not sign it, nor would they be approached by hacks like Morell. And Morell knows better. He knows who he can go to. It's just like an intelligence op. He knows who he can go to and who he can't go to.
He knew the depth of distaste in this government for Donald Trump, and that it runs deep. Yeah. And so those people would be willing to put their integrity on the line and lose that integrity in order to keep him out of the White House. It's I don't know. That's a soul selling that is puzzling to me.
All right. Well, Kevin, if Trump gets back in or another Republican does, you stick by your phone because we're going to need you to run the FBI. Kevin Brock, former Assistant Director of Intel for the FBI, former Principal Deputy Director of the National Counterterrorism Center. Kevin, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, gents. Good morning.
Nice talking.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer. This is Chicago's election station. AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
The U.S. retaliates in Syria. I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News hitting Iran-backed militant bases with airstrikes. Republican Congressman Carlos Jimenez tells Fox Business.
I'm wondering exactly what damage was done to what, and will it actually deter these terrorist groups from continuing to attack our troops in the Middle East.
In the past week, those attacks on U.S. bases in Syria and in Iraq have injured more than 20 Americans. U.S. contractor died of a heart attack. Israel still hasn't invaded Gaza as planned, 3 weeks into its war against Hamas, but their forces did cross the border again.
For the second consecutive day, Israeli forces launched a mechanized assault on the Gaza Strip, pushing all the way into central Gaza before pulling out. They're backed by targeted airstrikes, killing senior Hamas leaders.
And Lucas Tomlinson in Tel Aviv as Israel ups the number of hostages Hamas is holding in Gaza to 229. Palestinian officials say the number of Palestinians killed in Israel's bombings in Gaza tops 7,000. The manhunt continues in Maine for Robert Card, the suspected gunman in the Lewiston mass shootings that left 18 people dead, 13 injured.
Card is an Army reservist with documented mental health issues that police say included hearing voices and threats to carry out a shooting at a National Guard base in Maine. As for things here in Maine, the shelter-in-place order remains in effect. Businesses are still closed. You pretty much just see members of the media, for the most part, as well as law enforcement on the streets.
Well, that's Fox's Nate Foy in Lewiston. President Biden has a new challenger, but this time it's a Democrat running for president against him. Dean Phillips, a congressman from Minnesota.
We've got some challenges, that's for sure. We're going to repair this economy, and we are going to repair America as long as we do it together.
And Phillips said in that campaign video he'll launch his White House bid in New Hampshire this morning, though the president is skipping the primary there because New Hampshire went against the Democratic Party, keeping its primary first after Democrats scheduled South Carolina first in 2024. America's listening.
Good morning. It's 64 degrees in Chicago. In the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, I'm Nikki Whaley. The U.S. GDP is rising faster than expected this quarter. The GDP, or gross domestic product, is a measure of all goods and services produced in the economy. According to figures released Thursday, it rose 4.9% from July through September, up from only an unrevised 2.1% pace, as according to the Commerce Department. The Illinois High School Association is denying an emergency appeal from Lamont High School after its girls volleyball team was disqualified from the state playoffs.
The decision was made to disqualify the team after it was discovered Lamont had played one too many regular season matches. The school's athletic director released a statement saying the players are paying for his mistake. The school offered other options as a punishment, but the IHSA remained firm on the ruling. In the AM 560 newsroom, I'm Mike Scott.
News is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Prof University and The Sean Thompson Show when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560 The Answer on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Lil's Dietary Shop, Blue Star Security, and by Hope Wins 7.
Eating balance of nature, fruits and veggies, is not replacing the fruits and vegetables in your diet. It is fruits and vegetables in your diet. Ask yourself, how many servings of fruits and vegetables have I eaten today? Have you eaten 1, 2, 3, and from how many varieties? Most people are less than 3. Our body is an amazing chemical laboratory, and when you give it the right chemistry, it functions the best. Balance of Nature is 31 different fruits and vegetables prepared in a way to give you the ultimate whole fruit and vegetable chemistry. Let Balance of Nature help you supplement your fruit and vegetable intake for a lot less money and a lot less work and a much higher quality of life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Heavy delays inbound Kennedy from O'Hare to Montrose, about 21 minutes. Inbound Kennedy reversibles from Montrose to Ohio, about 20 minutes. Slow inbound on the Edens from Dempster to Montrose, about 12 minutes. This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. As the leaves change, leave the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates, all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Now, your official weather forecast.
A brief shower or two in the area this morning, otherwise clouds are breezy today. A thunderstorm popping up this afternoon, high 72. Clouds are breezy tonight. It'll be partly cloudy late, low 40. Clouds and colder air tomorrow, the high 53. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by IDT. Eliminate paper files with the IoT Smart Connected Scanning Device. Find them at ready4IDT.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J is John Cass, JohnCassNews.com for his musings, including his recent piece we discussed earlier, his most recent piece on BLM Brandon's panic over the migrant situation in Chicago. John, you're the father of two Gen Zers, aren't you? They're Gen Z.
I guess if they're born like in 1995, does that make them Gen? Or 97, that make them Gen Z?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah. I think they're well under the threshold.
You know what? They're becoming militant.
Militant?
Militantly conservative.
Oh, well, that's good. So they're
because they can't afford. They want to get married. They want to move on with their lives, have a family, and this economy, they can't even begin to approach having a house, for example, and living a life.
Yeah. Right. The 8% mortgage rate's not attractive, among other things. But so it's interesting. So this is sort of a question. There's been this recent flood of Gen Z videos that have been circulating online that are risible. And, you know, when kids get blindsided by reality, it's easy to have fun at their expense because they
crying snowflakes. What are they doing?
Yeah, they make it easy. But I wonder too. I mean, we'll play some of them, but do you think? I mean, every generation when they get out of school, whether it's high school or college, and into the workforce, there's going to be some surprises. They're going to be how you thought it was going to be and what you think you're entitled to and how things actually work. So that happens in every generation. I mean, go back to Reality Bites for us Gen Xers. But so I wonder if it's just that playing out or if it's something more dysfunctional afoot with Gen Z. So love to hear from other parents of Gen Zers. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
I think they want, it's like they think it should be like a epic story where they're on a journey, on a quest, you know, a hero of 1,000 faces and so forth. And they're on a quest and they see the old man at the crossroads. An old man that looks like me with a beard and Grizzly Adams beard and everything. And he can barely walk like me and says, the left road is to riches. The right road is to certain death. You know, which one do you want to take?
Okay.
But there is no old man at the crossroads in real life. There's no Yoda. There's no Yoda.
I think our friend Dr. Leonard Sachs, who's a MIT and University of Penn trained and educated psychologist, he calls it the middle class script. This fallacy that kids have been told. Work hard, get good grades, go to a good school, get into a good college, get a good job, make money, live happily ever after. And it's just not that linear.
Sorry, Dr. Sachs, that's what I did.
Well,
I worked hard. I got into a college. I guess Columbia is not a good college, but I didn't want to grow up and be a commie. And I studied journalism and got a job.
Well,
I met a girl, got a job. I wanted to impress on the girl that I loved, that I could hold a job, and we took it from there.
Well, I think I think that's right. That's not really the interpretation of what he's saying. It's what he's saying is that you have these expectations, and especially after college, sometimes people are burdened by their education, and we'll get to that in a second. But it's just the idea that you don't consider what you really want to do and how you want to do it, and you get sort of bound up in the trappings of expectations, both that most of which have been sort of put upon you as to how things should proceed, what you should be doing, what you can expect, and so on and so forth. And everything's supposed to neatly fall into place. And there's a lot of people that work hard and go to a good school, and things don't fall in place so easily. That's the
and
sort
then
of
they
more the
curl
point.
up and cry.
Well, I'll give you an example here. A young lady on her way to her job as a server at a sushi restaurant.
I have a bone to pick with America! So I'm headed to my serving job. I fucking hate it.
Oh.
I fucking hate it.
There we
Why
go.
I make more money serving. I have my literal business marketing degree that put me in a cute $80,000 in debt. And I make more serving sushi rolls because I've been applying to marketing jobs for weeks now, and the pay cut is insane. But the jobs that are like a cute $150,000 to $200,000 a year, I'm not getting those. I'm a almost 25-year-old. My birthday soon. Almost 25-year-old chick going against, corporate ass America. People with so much experience. All I got is my degree. People say, get your degree, but then they don't talk about how you need experience. The degree was the experience!
Well, I would not hire her just on the basis of her vulgarity.
Yeah. Well, she's filming that while she's driving in what appears to be a pretty nice car and drinking an $8 cup of coffee from Starbucks. But, somebody else on the 9 to 5 scam, just to give you a little flavor of the exasperation out there among the Zers.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9 to 5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me forever to get there. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, duh! If I was able to walk to work, and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, I leave here, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till, 6:15 earliest, and then, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. I don't have energy to work out. That's out the window. I'm so upset. Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just the 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine. But I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and people that drive to the office, you don't get off at 5. And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but I literally get off, it's pitch black, I don't have energy. How do you have friends? How do you have time to, meet, a guy? I don't know, how do you have time for, dating? I don't have time for anything, and I'm, so stressed out, and I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional, but, am I so dramatic? It's fine.
I'm so glad I had sons. I'm so glad I had sons. I'm just saying that right now.
This is kind of fun. All right, one more. Maybe a couple more.
I saw that one.
Working a 9 to 5 is the biggest scam out there. The biggest scam. How the you want to sit here and tell me that I work every day of my life, every day, but I still don't have enough to pay my bills? How? And before you say, oh, get a better job, bitch, I have had 4 jobs. 4 completely different type of jobs. All different pays. And how are you going to tell me none of those 4 jobs could pay my fucking bills? How? Working for people is fucking scamming, bro. A fucking scam. But then, you know what? There's drug dealers and scammers out here sitting on their ass living their best life. When I don't have time to go do anything fun. When I don't have the money to go do anything fun. I am so tired of fucking working for people, it's not even funny. Like, I swear to God, if somehow I win the lottery, get a scratch-off ticket, some and get like 10 bands, honey, I am quitting my job and I am starting my own business because I am so tired of working for people. Like, dead ass. Like, people need to be more aware of how much a 9-to-5 is a scam. A literal scam. It is nothing but a scam. And I'm sorry about my lisp. My tongue ring is still healing. But it's a scam. It's a fucking scam.
She's got a tongue ring in and it's still healing, so she could afford a tongue piercing.
People don't take her seriously because she's got a piece of metal in her tongue.
Well, also because she talks like a sailor. But beyond that, I mean, she did say one thing. I want to go work for myself, start a business. Okay, go start a business.
It's so easy.
Yeah, right. Like, she's going to find out just how not easy that is. But okay. Any advice for Gen Zers? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I got to get this. I got to get this guy in. This guy's a lot more chill.
Let's hear it.
Not a graduate of the Naval Academy or West Point. Let me just preface that. But given the global conflicts in which the United States is involved and the precarious national security situation we have on multiple fronts, this young man decided to offer some social commentary on the topic.
Why is everybody saying Gen Z is going to get drafted? Like, no, we're not. And you know why I know that? Because we're just going to say no. Like, how are they going to actually force us to get up and go to war? I understand it was like that in, like, the 1940s. What else is there to do in 1940 besides shoot people? We have things to do nowadays. We have twerk, be bisexual, eat hot chip, lie. And we're also, like, really mentally ill. I have, like, 6 of these. What makes you think I'm qualified to have a gun?
Pill bottle.
Like, within 600 feet of anybody, including myself. And finally, like, guns are, like, so tacky. Like, can you imagine just, like, pulling up with a gun? Like, that is so embarrassing. Like, what is this, the Revolutionary War? No. Like, let's just chat. Let's just talk. There's no need for all the, like, no. No. It's not going to happen. Don't worry.
I'm not worried.
This guy has a father. Okay, you know that, right? He has a father.
He's dipping an apple into caramel sauce as he's recording his musings. He's my favorite guy. He's my favorite one of them all.
I'm thinking about his poor dad going, oh, my God.
We have, like, shooting people was fine shooting Nazis was fine in 1940, but Gen Zers have things to do today. God's sakes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he may want to take judicial notice of the young men that were drafted in Vietnam, but probably didn't teach that at school. Let's take some calls. Matt, Mount Greenwood.
Like, I can't believe that guy's father, like, raised him the way he is. I can't believe it. Oh, my God. The slapping the kid. My mother used to say, if you want a reason to cry, I'm going to give you a reason to cry. Every one of these putzes needs a reason to cry.
I can hear Betty saying, John, stop. Yeah, right.
Oh, my God almighty. I'm throwing up in my mouth, gentlemen. I'm sorry. I just read your column today, too, John. Great read. But, this is, it would be funny if it wasn't true, guys. This is sad.
Thanks for the call. Now, again, to be fair to Gen Z, I try to want to both sides here. There are Gen Zers, too, that are at the Naval Academy, at West Point, in the service.
Or they could be teaching, special teachers,
entrepreneurs.
Electricians. Yeah, I know 2 of those.
Right. So there's a lot of Gen Zers doing a lot of things, too. So that's what I'm saying. I said at the outset, what advice would you give them? Because this is a rite of passage for every generation. And just trying to assess if it's a little bit more pronounced in this generation mainly because of the poor education and the collapse of parenting, which is where I think most of the blame lies. But anyway.
Get married, give me a grandson, and maybe we'll talk about down payment for a house. Okay? I want the grandson now.
Boy, it's all bartering in the Cass household. Right. I got it. Evan, Northwest Side.
Hey, gentlemen.
Hey.
So I'm a young man, 32. I also graduated from college. I'm also a father. And yeah, I did grow up in that same kind of mentality with a single parent, kind of thinking, oh, maybe I'm just entitled to do what I want, and had a reality check when I went to jail and also had my kid. So my advice to kids is just really figure out what the world is made of and how you can implement what you can out there without having to be a burden to anyone else.
So wait a second, Evan. Hold on a second. So what did you go to jail for, and how'd you turn it around?
So when I was in college, I got involved with narcotics as a recreation and for selling.
Okay.
And I got caught up because I was kind of living that life of, oh, look at me, I'm doing the big thing and everything's great, and then I got caught. And it was me sitting in that silence, thinking, okay, well, I got to turn this around. Took me a while, but it was definitely just an impact of believing these false realities of thinking that college was the answer, and it really wasn't. I kind of wish I would have just gone into a trade or something like that. Been a little more disciplined with myself, besides like following the norm.
But you're good now, family and all that. Everything's good now.
In a way, it's still a struggle. I mean, I still have the record on I still have the felony charge on my record, so it is hard to find a job, but I do have a decent job now. I'm not doing, I would say, you know what? One thing I would say is don't bounce around to different jobs.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea at all. I don't know why kids think they're just entitled to, oh, I'll leave that job and go somewhere else. And it was, no, that's not how it works. That's really not how it works.
Very good. Thanks for the call. I mean, good for you too for turning it around. All right. Yeah, I mean, you're right. We want to establish that you're stable and you give a job time and you put your time in and you don't leave employers in the lurch. Sure, that's something people look at, of course. Tom in Algonquin. Hey, Tom.
Hi.
Go ahead. You're on.
Hi. Want to respond to the young lady who wants to have her own business.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea how much work it is. Oh, my God. I tell people this all the time. You know what's the biggest difference between when I worked for somebody else and now I work for myself? When I worked for someone else at 4:30 on a Friday, I'd look at something on my desk and say, I'll do it Monday.
Right.
Now I do it Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable. And people want to start their own business. But, I only want to work 40 hours a week, and I don't want to make any less money than I make now. Oh, what do you mean?
And I want to have long lunches. I want to have a long
Oh, my goodness. Boy, life is, that would be so easy. Oh, they are so clueless.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Well, right. You think 9 to 5 is a scam? Right. What are you going to think about doing 80 hours a week trying to get a business up and running?
Right.
Uh-huh. Jessica Lamont.
They need to get over the instant gratification and learn that good things take time, good things are hard. It takes 20 years to build a career. You're not going to buy your $500,000 forever home first time you go to buy a house. They don't know it takes time. They need to learn that. I don't know where they forgot it, but...
Jessica, do they have something called starter homes? Do they still have that?
They do. They do. There are homes out there. There are $200,000 homes out there. Do they need work? Do they need elbow grease? Yes, they do, but they don't want to buy them. They want to buy the perfect house and $50,000 worth of furniture on credit to put in it so they look good. It's I don't know what they're thinking. They come out of college with debt and they instantly build more debt.
Right.
Thanks for the call, Jessica. Will Skokie. Hey, Will.
Morning.
Will, go ahead.
Hello, how you doing? Are you there?
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead, Will.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I have two daughters, and the oldest one, she went to the Naval Academy, and she learned the hard way that, she says, oh, this is all BS in here. And I go, yeah, the world is full of BS. And you just have to learn how to work with the BS. The young one, she's doing well. She just made lieutenant commander. But the young one, she wanted to be more badass than her sister. She went Marines, and halfway through boot camp, she got kicked out because of she's got asthma and stuff like this. She came out, she went to college, and she's now working for a law firm, but she keeps complaining about, I've got to have so many billable hours. And I go, yeah, because that's how you get your salary. You create production for your boss, and you've got to create more production than you're worth. And it's just a matter of slamming into the brick wall of reality, and it works out.
Right. Thanks for the call, Will. I mean, that one girl who's drinking the coffee and saying, I can't compete with people for those $150,000, $200,000 jobs. Yeah, you're 25 with a, sort of a BS marketing degree. You think somebody's going to pay you $200,000 a year or two removed from college? Okay. Robert, Bloomingdale.
Wow. I mean, I've been working since the age of 13 years old. I'm going to retire at the end of next year. These kids today have no idea what work is, and they need to get a serious reality check, especially those ones that you are playing. I mean, holy cow, they're in trouble. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
They get it. They get the reality check. It comes,
Tom Oswego.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Oh, Munchkin line. Sorry, your voice is altered, but go ahead, Tom. Give us your comments anyway.
I've got a 31-year-old son who's an attorney, a 30-year-old son who's a master in HR department, and then my 29-year-old daughter is a trained pastry chef and also a bilingual teacher. They're all struggling, and I think the biggest thing is leadership in this country. They see the people who are leading the Titanic, to an iceberg, and they get frustrated. They get disappointed. And I try every day to encourage them. I'm a small businessman. I have been 34 years. And I encourage them every day. Keep your head down, work hard, work smart, and you'll get ahead. There's so much stupidity out there, you can't help but not succeed. And to the person who said, I'm sick of working 9 to 5, and the other person said, be self-employed. Well, I have for 34 years. And I'll tell you, my day starts at 4:30, ends at about 7 o'clock at night. I'm a contractor. And you want stress? They don't make a chart that's the stress I'm on. And this is every day. But you know what? I wouldn't give it up, Dan. I love my life. Thank
there
you.
It is. Thanks for the call, Tom. Doing what you want to do. Yeah, absolutely. All right, coming up at 7:37, we're going to talk to David Harsanyi about the new speaker and other domestic political matters at 7:37. Now we check the headlines with Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 65 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The families of hostages taken prisoner by Hamas were on Capitol Hill Thursday. One lawmaker meeting with the group, Maryland Congressman Steny Hoyer, told the families Congress is committed to bringing the hostages home. State and local leaders are celebrating the grand opening of Brown Sugar Bakery's manufacturing facility in Chicago. Governor Pritzker was on hand for the ribbon-cutting ceremony yesterday.
Brown Sugar Bakery, Brown Sugar Factory, the pride of Chicago, will go national. That's a big deal for all of us.
The new Southside factory will be the first black woman-owned chocolate manufacturer in the nation. Brown Sugar Bakery received $500,000 in a grant funding from the state in 2020 to support the expansion and create jobs for the local community. News is a service of Salem Surround, providing your business with industry-leading digital marketing strategy designed to surround your target audience and drive action. Go to surroundchicago.com today. Well,
AM 560, The Answer. Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard, Tom Miraboli, independent insurance agent with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, and by overheaddoorchicago.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm Carolyn. I've been in private practice of physicians physical therapy for 35 years.
And you're going to come in, but breathe. Yep, perfect.
I open up at 4 a.m. and I'll go on till 10 a.m. and it's day after day. And as you can see by the equipment here, we are intensely active. People watch, they observe, and people say, Carolyn, what's your secret? And I say it's from proper diet, proper exercise, and of course through Balance of Nature. I'm 60, but since taking Balance of Nature, I feel the energy level of 27. I've been taking Balance of Nature for several years and I love it. I endorse it, I believe in it, and I would recommend it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This is good news, maybe exactly when you need it too. Right now, switching to MediShare can save you even more than usual, on top of what you'll save each month by becoming a member of MediShare. So many people are looking for a healthcare solution right now, especially given how inflation is affecting us. And MediShare is the affordable, reliable alternative to health insurance. The typical family saves about $500 a month. You might save even more. And MediShare is a Christian community that's been sharing each other's healthcare costs for 30 years now, and they're making it easier than ever. Apply by October 31st, and you can save an additional $150 on your first month. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just tell them the promo code SHARE to get your additional savings. Maybe now is the time to make the switch, like more than 400,000 people already have, and start saving. Here it is. It's 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer. From the AM 560 Traffic Center.
On the Eisenhower eastbound before South Ridgeland Avenue, you've got a crash with the right lane blocked. There's about a 10-minute delay through there. It'll take you 47 minutes inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare out to 290. And inbound on the Kennedy from Montrose to 290 about 33 minutes. Slow on the inbound Edens from Lake Cook out to 290, about 51 minutes. Traffic is a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. now heard on Sunday morning at 6:30 on AM 560. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His Word each Sunday morning right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, your official weather forecast.
A brief shower or two in the area this morning. Otherwise, clouds are breezy today. A thunderstorm popping up this afternoon. High 72. Clouds are breezy tonight. It'll be partly cloudy late. Low 40. Clouds and colder air tomorrow. The high 53. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3. Brought to you by Pure Shale Financial Group at pureshalefinancial.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and John Cass in for Amy this morning. JohnCassNews.com. Speaking of, we were talking about Gen Zers and some who think working for themselves, starting a small business is something they want to do, but are already overburdened by the 9-to-5 workday. They have no idea.
And no time to work out, no time to club.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
My God.
Mm-hmm. So it seems to me that K through 12 education is, even though it's not really primarily a federal issue, just education generally is a real mission field and political opportunity for the Republican Party. And I don't know that they're fully capitalizing on it at present. Some at the state level with the school choice movement advancing, but not fully. I mean, what are we seeing when we're talking about petulant Gen Zers as we were before the break, or we're talking about this rank ignorance that you're seeing on college campuses from students and professors alike in the context of the Hamas terrorist attack? So many illustrations of this. A good piece by Eva Moskowitz, who is the founder of the Success Charter Schools, Success Academy Charter Schools. She reminds us something here, too, because the conversation is always driven by spend from the left, and then Republicans not wanting to be seen as, oh, what are you, against kids? You against education? You against teachers? Though they want to just keep the debate on the spend angle that the left takes. Well, that's a mistake. System change is the real conversation here. That's what school choice is about. But it's bigger than that. Moskowitz writes, do you know we spend more than $800 billion annually on K through 12 government schools in America? Schools in the United States spend an average of $19,380 per pupil, which is more per child than all but one other developed nation. That's Luxembourg.
Jesus. Really?
Adjusting for inflation, spending grew by 244% over the last 50 years. That's 6% of our GDP. Also more than many other North American and European nations, which average about 4.85% of GDP. So,
it's funded by homes.
It's primarily funded by property taxes in Illinois. Not every state does it that way. Indiana doesn't, for example. But the point is the overall spend. So the teachers need more money. So we spend more than just about every other nation. We've gone up at a 45-degree angle in that spend in real dollars in the last 50 years. And what do we have? Well, we have smaller class sizes. Classes are too big. Down from 22 students per teacher in 1970 to 15 in 2021. We have higher high school graduation rates and lower dropout rates. More kids have access to computers and internet than ever before. 97% of 3 to 18-year-olds. We need an iPad in every classroom. We got it. That all sounds like good news. So why are Americans falling behind globally, behind China, Japan, Canada, Poland, Slovenia, and many more? 36 countries outperform the United States in math at the high school level. They did slightly better in science. Reading comprehension, we're 17, we're 12 in reading comprehension. But the gap between high performers and low performers widened. About 1/5 of American 15-year-olds scored so low on the PISA test that it appeared they had not mastered the reading skills expected of a 10-year-old. 1/5. Where are we now, post-pandemic? Well, that was a disaster, but it was a disaster before the pandemic. Only 25% of kids are doing math at grade level. Only 31% are reading at grade level, nationally. And then you wonder, with the increasing politicization of schooling from pre-K through post-secondary, what fills the void? Well, that fills the void, political activism. And then you're surprised from the billionaire set on down. You're shocked by what you see on the campuses of Ivy League schools and elite schools like Northwestern or Stanford, what you see from the professorate and the students alike. What you hear from Gen Zers who have this completely distorted view of what it takes to make it and be independent and successful doing something they like. For more on this and other issues, pleased to be joined by Renaissance man. He can tackle anything. He's David Harsanyi. He's a senior editor at The Federalist. He's also the author of Eurotrash, Why Americans Must Reject the Failed Ideas of a Dying Continent. David, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
What about just the opportunity because of what's happened on college campuses and because of all the trans stuff and parental authority issues at the K through 12 level? What about this opportunity that's present to talk about how we do education in America writ large?
Well, it's a major issue that I don't think we're taking advantage of on the right. In Virginia, for instance, I think it was a huge issue for Youngkin, who is now a pretty popular governor in Virginia. The first thing I think we need to do is stop calling it public schools and start calling it state or government-run schools, because that's what it is. And then you get a better sense of what's going on in any kind of, and I'm not saying we're a totalitarian society, but in any kind of society like that, you start with the children, you brainwash them, which is what happens in many districts, most districts in some way. And then you send them to these hermetically sealed ideological, factories where you pump out credentialed dimwits, mostly in the elite schools. And then they, these people who go to those schools then go to, the State Department, or they're your lawyer, or, these positions of power, and ruin the country.
What about editors of major newspapers? Yeah.
Exactly. Or you're going to be at a major newspaper. So, when they talk about like the anti-Semitism we see now, when you have a Nazi standing in front of Disney, like afterwards he goes back to making meth or whatever he does. But the other side, they go into institutions. They have the power and the reach. And I'm sorry to jump to that topic and segue there, but, I think it's a pretty clear line for why that happens.
Credentialed Dimwits, by the way, was the name of my high school band, Talking Heads cover band. We killed with, anyway, so I mean, in terms of Republican leadership on the issue, I mean, again, mostly state and local, but you can certainly talk about it, particularly when you're talking about college and how the federal government underwrites the student loans that send all these kids to amass $80,000 in debt to get some BS marketing degree. Why, especially like a DeSantis is perfectly positioned to talk about this as he sits on the most expansive school choice program in the country in Florida. And we just don't see, I know there's these geopolitical matters and taxes and this and that, but nobody's sort of putting it together in a unified vision of what a K through 12 education and post-secondary education could and should be.
I think it's more complicated than a lot of people think, in the sense, I remember this in Colorado when I lived there, a lot of, let me put it this way, the only organization in America right now who wants and fights for segregation are teachers' unions. And what happens is you have a lot of people have good schools. They live in rich neighborhoods or well-off, middle-class neighborhoods, and they have good schools, and they're nervous about changing the system. So you have to really try to convince them as well that it's a good idea to integrate schools and to let people have choice and let parents move their kids around. They feel like their schools are going to get worse. I mean, this is my personal, experience in this. So maybe each state needs a different kind of vision. So I'm not really against doing it statewide, but I think that you're right. There's an overall case to be made that presidential candidates should be making, that this is a good type of policy that the federal government would help states institute, rather than strengthening teachers' unions, which is what the president does right now.
Yeah, and it would be an opportunity for somebody to step outside of the pack at the presidential level, like DeSantis, and drive a completely different conversation rather than sort of be bogged down by, parsing DeSantis's answer on Ukraine funding versus Ramaswamy's versus Nikki Haley's. I mean, this just becomes white noise here, and that's to the benefit of the front runner, Donald Trump, of course. There's a prospect that this next debate coming up in early November, next Republican presidential debate, may only have a handful of candidates, maybe only 3 on stage in terms of who qualifies and who wants to participate. Ramaswamy has said he may not want to participate because people were too mean to him in the last debate. So if it's Christie, Nikki Haley, DeSantis, does that provide a path to a more interesting primary campaign, or do you think people just sort of say, well, that just shows you how irrelevant this process is. The primary's over, Trump's the nominee, and let's just get on with it?
Well, I don't want to be too cynical, but I just don't think these things matter at all anymore. Trump, I think that, personally, I think DeSantis has the best case to be president right now. But,
Yes.
That's not what people think. Most Republican primary voters obviously want Donald Trump. Donald Trump, is doing the right thing. I mean, why should he debate anyone when he's up 50 points or whatever it is in those polls? And you have other candidates that split maybe the rest of those votes. So you never know how those votes would split anyway.
Have any of you been intrigued by the support Nikki Haley's getting from National Review and Fox? It seems Fox has become the neocon network now, and National Review is carrying her water. And I just wonder what you think as conservatives, because I'm a conservative, and I don't see her as a conservative. I don't even know why she's running, but there she is, running.
Well, I think people are grappling to find kind of a consensus candidate other than Trump, meaning someone who can bring populists together with the, older school, more libertarian-minded, I guess, or maybe even the neocons. I don't think Nikki Haley's that person. But, maybe because of what's going on in the world right now, they feel like she's better. I can't speak to it. I just don't think she's going to have a chance. And so I don't really get that support for her either. But honestly, I just don't think there are many, again, I just think DeSantis is the candidate who's, I don't support politicians. I just think when you look at just accomplishment and, the way they comport themselves in general, I just don't, it's a mystery to me why he doesn't have more support. But then again, the electorate's a big mystery to me.
But so you agree that she is the neocon candidate?
Well, certainly if you're a neocon, you're going to like her best for sure. Yeah. I wouldn't say she's not a conservative. She's had some conservative policies in South Carolina when she was there. I think she's a school choice supporter and stuff like that. But I get your drift for sure.
Yeah, the other thing too is, like you say, they seem DeSantis has not been able to move, so now it's time to find somebody else who, is moving a little bit, and maybe we can help her move more, and it fits some other boxes that the Republican establishment likes. So when donors start to migrate, then you have your media moment too. So if this is a fait accompli, Biden versus Trump versus RFK Jr., don't forget about him. The polling is interesting on that, though. That Siena poll that came out this week, where Trump is up 5 on Biden, but if you include RFK, his lead expands to 7, and RFK's percentage of the vote, RFK Jr., is not inconsequential. Those numbers look very much like 1992, with its being like 38 to 31 to 21. The RFK Jr. factor, what's your handle on that?
I'm a bit skeptical that he's going to pull those kind of numbers. I'm not saying he won't pull any, but as soon as people start highlighting him and saying, "Oh, remember that time you hung out with Farrakhan?" I think maybe some of that support maybe goes away. So, what happens a lot is you have candidates who have not had the spotlight on them, who, no one's done any digging on them. Trump hasn't come up with a nickname for them yet, you know what I mean? And they do well in polls, but I'm pretty skeptical that guy's going to pull a ton. And what makes me nervous is he actually, I see some conservatives who like him, I guess, because of his vaccine position, whatever it is. I just don't think he has pro-like numbers coming in at the end of the day.
But he does have money. He is raising enough money to stick around and compete.
Yeah, for sure. He will be somewhat of a factor. I just don't think. I don't know.
20. Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's fine when he's running against Biden, but under scrutiny when it's the main event, people might make some different decisions. I agree.
Dan, since you brought up the Siena poll, I'd like to ask David, what do you make of the Siena poll's look at immigration, particularly as it relates to minorities, to black voters, black Democrats, Latinos, etc., as they're dealing with the overcrowding that's coming from the opening of the borders, Biden's opening of the borders? How's that going to play?
I think people underestimate what a big issue that was back when Trump first won. I think that was the propelling issue for him, actually, and I think it will be now too. It's a mess down there, and there are. how can I say this? I think the presidential election is the farthest removed or the closest to your ideology, meaning locally you'll vote for whoever helps you. But when it comes to the presidency, you're usually voting for your party, I think. But, I mean, look at the Biden presidency. Nothing has gone right. Everything is a mess. He's a mess. I mean, when I see Trump up 5 points or whatever, I totally believe it. I think Trump can easily win this thing. I'm not saying he will, but he could easily win this thing because we have a president who's completely incompetent, can barely speak. So I think immigration would be a big part of that. What's going on down there, I think, affects a lot of people. And when you start sending them to big cities, all of a sudden everyone's concerned. So I think that was a great idea. Yeah.
Chicago,
New York.
New York. Chicago is I just did a piece on the mayor of Chicago having a panic attack, actually 2 panic attacks. I think they required medical assistance, but I'm not quite sure. But he's melting down, and other mayors are melting down too. I'm sure Adams in New York is not happy.
I think that Martha's Vineyard stunt was the best thing that ever happened in this debate because it just showed the hypocrisy, frankly. And I think to many, and scared a lot of people who live in nice places that they're going to actually have to deal with this problem as well, and not just hire people to do their lawns, but actually have to deal with everything else that goes with unfettered illegal immigration.
Beyond just getting a Speaker of the House, which was the first order of business, what is your sort of level of optimism about the kind of job that Mike Johnson can do and the kind of representative he'll be of the Republican Party on the national stage?
When I first heard that, he sounds like a guy who, like a European director in a European movie would name as the token American Mike Johnson, just like the most milquetoast guy ever. But I have to say, when I've seen him speak, he seems like he's going to be fine. I don't know. I noticed Democrats were really mad that he was praying and believed in God and stuff like that. So
yeah, of course, it's offensive.
Yeah, more upset about that than they are about Ilhan Omar being in Congress or Hamas marches. So, I don't know. I think the whole, I just think they're kind of a mess, frankly. So anything they get done, I'm sort of like, well, that's impressive because I don't expect that much right now. But he seems okay, I guess. I don't know that much about him, to be honest.
David Harsanyi, senior editor at The Federalist, author of Eurotrash, Why America Must Reject the Failed Ideas of a Dying Continent. David, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Always. Thank you.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You may have heard me on the radio sharing information about taxes, the IRS, or some other legal topic. Over these many years, I've learned quite a lot about helping business owners. It's pretty complicated out there. Business owners must always be learning just to keep up. So I've put together an email newsletter where I share information with business owners for free. That's right, no charge. All you have to do is go to radiotaxman.com and provide your email address. That's it. You may wonder why I would do that. Well, I know business owners are going to need help now and again. Tax returns, IRS trouble, business structuring, tax planning, and a whole lot more. I also know that if I share accurate, important information with you, information you can trust, you may give me an opportunity to help you. That's it. You don't have to ask for my help, but I want to offer it to you. Pretty simple. Go to radiotaxman.com right now and sign up for my email newsletter. That's radiotaxman.com. It's free. Together we can fight back now.
This special announcement is for anyone experiencing osteoarthritis-related knee pain, rotator cuff shoulder pain, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol and triglycerides, or are interested in plasma donation. Contact Affinity Health today. Affinity Health is running paid clinical trials with no insurance needed. Call 630-491-1900 or go to affinityhealthcorp.com and click Join a Study to see if you qualify.
America First with Sebastian Gorka. Weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you noticed cracked or sinking concrete around your home, driveways, sidewalks, garage floors, or patios? In addition to looking bad, cracked or sinking concrete causes an uneven surface that poses a safety hazard. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Would you like to fix the problem without replacing the concrete? We have the solution for you. Permaseal polylevel foam can be injected beneath concrete surfaces, leveling and preventing future settlement. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL for a free evaluation. The polylevel process is done with minimal disruption, quickly and at a fraction of the cost of concrete replacement. And unlike traditional mud jacking methods, polylevel foam is lightweight so it doesn't add additional weight to the area. Polylevel is the most durable and cosmetically appealing solution to your cracked or sinking concrete. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-SEAL or visit permaseal.net.
In the heart of Bedford Falls, one man faced incredible challenges in his business journey. George Bailey, a humble banker, knew that success often comes hand in hand with adversity. But George wasn't alone in his struggle. He discovered the power of resilience, innovation, friends, and community. Like George, your business may face obstacles, financial setbacks, fierce competition, IT nightmares, or unforeseen crises. But remember, it's not about the challenges you face. It's about how you overcome them. At Turnkey, we understand the George Bailey spirit. We're here to provide you with the solutions, guidance, and support you need to conquer your business and IT challenges. Whether you're a small-town bank, distributor, manufacturer, or a cutting-edge startup, we believe that every business has the potential to thrive. Together, we'll build a bridge to your success, just like George Bailey did in Bedford Falls. Join us at Turnkey. Let's write your own It's a Wonderful Business Life. Because like George, your dreams are worth it. Start a conversation today by visiting turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv.
Paige Rue here, host of Reloaded, a reality show about my life as a girl raised in a gun store. Yes, you heard that right, a gun store. We're a family-owned range in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a firearms instructor, and my passion is to empower Americans to exercise their Second Amendment rights. This series is full of ups and downs, laughs, family drama, and of course, a lot of ammo. Join me and my family run 3 successful gun ranges while I prepare for the most difficult event of my life. You can find every episode now only at salemnow.com.
This is Chicago's election station. AM 560 The Answer. WIND Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
Where is he? I'm Dave Anthony. Fox News. They still don't know in Maine, where law enforcement keeps searching for Robert Card, the suspected gunman in the Lewiston mass shootings that left 18 people dead, including Leroy Walker's son, Joseph.
It's been a horrible 2 or 3 days wherever we are.
Joseph Walker managed the bar that was shot up along with a bowling alley, and his father just told Fox he died a hero.
My son went after the shooter trying to defend everyone that was being shot at, and lost his life in trying.
3 of the 13 people wounded remain in critical condition. The U.S. went on the attack in Syria with airstrikes in retaliation for recent attacks on U.S. bases in Syria and Iraq that left more than 20 Americans injured. Fox's Peter Ducey reports from the White House they hit
a weapons depot and an ammo storage facility that were involved in attacks against U.S. troops in the region within the last week. These facilities were controlled by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
21 days into Israel's war against Hamas terrorists.
The Israelis conducted a series of raids overnight, not just from the ground, but also from the sea, trying to destroy a number of Hamas cells along the border. They're also targeting tunnel infrastructure beneath the Gaza Strip, as the number of hostages inside Gaza has risen to 229 people.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Israel, where the defense minister said this morning a ground invasion into Gaza will start soon and be long and difficult. House Speaker Mike Johnson, just elected days ago, tells Fox's Hannity.
We're going to bring forward a standalone Israel funding measure over $14 billion.
Is $14 billion enough?
Israel's requested a little less than that, actually. The White House did.
But President Biden wants Congress to bundle that military aid with $60 billion in additional aid to Ukraine. Johnson says the Republican-led House will not consider that. Some GOP lawmakers say we've sent Ukraine enough. America's listening.
Good morning. It's 66 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The U.S. military says a Chinese fighter jet came within just feet of an Air Force B-52 bomber over the South China Sea. The U.S. Indo-Pacific Command says the incident happened Tuesday and that the Chinese pilot flew below and in front and within 10 feet of the B-52, putting both aircraft in danger of a collision. Police in West Suburban Downers Grove are investigating after a swastika was found carved into a grade school's playground equipment. The discovery was made on Tuesday near Lester Elementary School. Downers Grove Grade School District 58 Superintendent Kevin Russell sent parents a letter home calling the imagery deeply disturbing. The swastika has been removed. In some parts of the country, there's laws against houses being too scary this Halloween. Many homeowner associations have restrictions on how loud your Halloween sound effects may be or how late you're allowed to frighten people. Legally in the U.S., a trick-or-treater can sue a homeowner for scaring them too much and causing emotional stress. News is the service of Dan and Amy 24/7. You can now enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer. Listen now at danandamy247.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the AM 560 Business Beat.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
ExxonMobil's profit jumped 15% in the summer quarter from the spring as oil and fuel prices rose, though earnings were half of the earnings for the period last year. ExxonMobil's in the process of an all-stock agreement to buy Pioneer Natural Resources. Also, ExxonMobil is raising the dividend it pays to shareholders from 91 cents to 94. Chevron's quarter also was mixed. Its earnings were weaker than predicted, though its revenue topped forecasts. Chevron is also planning a big merger with Hess. J.P. Morgan Chase says Chief Executive Jamie Dimon and his family plan to sell about $140 million in company stock, about 1 million shares. The company says the sale starting next year is for financial diversification and tax planning purposes. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Automated Systems Incorporated, HealthInsuranceMentors.com, and by Illinois Concealed Carry Training.
You're smart. You waited. Now is the best time to buy from Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Hi, it's Sean Thompson. If you're looking for a new or pre-owned Mazda, you need to visit Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. You'll find the Mazda you want, and the price you see is the price you get. No games, no gimmicks. And right now is a great time to buy a new Mazda with limited time incentives that are only available once a year. Right now, you get 0.9% financing on new select 2024 Mazda CX-5s and the new Mazda CX-90s for 36 months, or get 2.9% financing on the new 2023 Mazda CX-30s with approved credit through Mazda Financial Services for qualified buyers, plus tax, title, licensing, $347.26 doc fee. See dealer for details. And keep your Mazda running great all year round. Schedule your next service appointment right online, WilkinsMazdaCars.com. Wilkins Mazda, conveniently located in Elmhurst, off York Road and 290, just minutes from Oak Brook, downtown, and Schaumburg. Experience the next level of excellence at Wilkins Mazda in Elmhurst. Visit WilkinsMazdaCars.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Ruthie. I love helping people. There's so many people that are down. Sometimes all it takes is a piece of pie to make the sunshine come in their life again. And with the help of Balance of Nature, it's making it more fun and giving me more energy. And I would really like to thank Balance of Nature. These are mine for life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer. From the AM 560 Traffic Center.
Accident cleared on the Eisenhower eastbound before South Ridgeland Avenue. Some slow traffic on the ramp to the outbound Eisenhower. It's going to be off on the shoulder, but still causing a bit of brake tapping. Inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to 290, that's about a 58-minute delay. Inbound Edens from Lake Cook to 290, it's about a 63-minute roll. Traffic is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home and make the rooms in your house look bigger and better with larger windows or patio doors. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation today.
Now, your official weather forecast.
A brief shower or two in the area this morning, otherwise clouds and breezy today. A thunderstorm popping up this afternoon, high 72. Clouds and breezy tonight. It'll be partly cloudy late, low 40. Clouds and colder air tomorrow, the high 53. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and John Cass, JohnCassNews.com, in for Amy today. And
hey, Dan.
John, you heard at the top of the hour in the news, newly installed House Speaker Mike Johnson is decoupling aid to Ukraine from aid to Israel. He's going to move $14 billion in aid to Israel, but he's not going along with the $106 billion that the Biden administration wants to put it all together and trying to bribe Republicans with some money in there for more border security personnel. Well, more border security personnel doesn't matter much if they're just doing paperwork as the borders are open. That's not providing any enhanced border security. I think most Republicans recognize that. And so one of the things that Johnson said in terms of contemplating any additional aid for Ukraine is the Biden administration has to tell us what the end game here is, and they haven't done that. And he's going to meet with Biden and team to try to get an answer to that question. Well, University of Chicago poli-sci and international relations professor John Mearsheimer, he recently was on Glenn Loury, Glenn Loury's podcast, Glenn Loury, the econ professor at Brown, and they discussed this. And John Mearsheimer, among other things, discussed his fear of escalation in that war to repel the Russians, and what the prospects are for escalation, what he's most concerned about. And given what the reality on the ground is, in his estimation, he's trying to game out what happens if Ukraine gets overrun. Take a listen to what Mearsheimer had to say that may inform some of the views on more aid to Ukraine.
What is the United States going to do
if in a more extreme case and a possible case, the Ukrainian military collapses and the Russians are overrunning most of Ukraine, what are we going to do? It's very important to remember how deeply invested we are in this war. Can we really afford to lose? Can NATO afford to lose? Anyway, I raise all of this because I think there will be a serious temptation for us to get directly involved. And given, the number of foolish moves that the United States and its allies have made with regard to NATO expansion, I wouldn't be surprised if we got involved. Do I think it's likely? No, but I think it's a serious possibility. So I like to say, I think there's a non-trivial chance that we would get involved if Ukraine is losing in a serious way. And I think at this point in time, that's much more likely than the Russians losing and the Russians turning to nuclear weapons.
That which is his other fear of the prospect of escalation. If Ukraine was running roughshod over the Russians, was pushing them back out of Donbass, then because the West has indicated they would not respond with nuclear weapons to Putin's use of nuclear weapons, what that escalation could look like. If Russia's losing, Putin's desperate, the West has said we're not going to use nuclear weapons, provide nuclear weapons for usage. Putin would be incentivized to use them. Well, that seems less likely because in Mearsheimer's opinion, the counteroffensive launched in June has failed, and we're in a place now where it's more likely that Ukraine would be overrun, and the Biden administration has to recognize that, and the Biden administration has to, politically speaking, sort of a wag the dog moment, politically speaking, can the Biden administration afford to see Ukraine fall before next November's election? Take a listen to Mearsheimer.
The counteroffensive, which was launched on 4 June of this year, was a blitzkrieg. It was a clever strategy. It was designed to deliver a rather quick hammer blow to the Russian military and force them to the negotiating table where we would, in theory, get a very good agreement, we meaning the West and the United States. The counteroffensive has clearly failed. It's actually been a disaster. What that means is that we're now engaged in a war of attrition, which was the case before the counteroffensive was launched. It's important to understand that we launched the counteroffensive, or the Ukrainians launched the counteroffensive, to get out of the war of attrition, because I think the Ukrainians and the Americans understood that if it was a war of attrition, the Ukrainians could not win. But we're back into a war of attrition. So the $64,000 question is, who wins a war of attrition? And the answer is the Russians. And you say to yourself, why is that the case? Well, what matters the most in a war of attrition is the relative population size of the combatants. Because how big your population is determines how many soldiers you could produce. And second, the balance of artillery, how much artillery each side has. Because in a war of attrition, as we used to say when I was a cadet at West Point, what really matters is artillery. It is the king of battle. The conventional wisdom is, almost everybody agrees on this, including people in the West and in Ukraine, that the Russians have somewhere between a 5-to-1 and a 10-to-1 advantage in artillery. And moreover, that advantage is likely to grow in the future because the Ukrainians cannot produce much artillery. We don't have much artillery to give them and can't spin up the industrial capacity to produce large amounts of artillery tubes and artillery shells quickly. While on the other hand, the Russians are pumping out artillery tubes and artillery projectiles like crazy. So this advantage, which is somewhere between 5-to-1 and 10-to-1 in artillery, is going to grow with the passage of time.
Not to mention the population advantage, 5-to-1, Russia to Ukraine. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. So on the one hand, we don't want Ukraine to fall in the hand of Putin. On the other hand, because we've sort of been half pregnant in the support for Ukraine and took it on on faith that this counteroffensive, this blitzkrieg that Mearsheimer described, would produce results that, at least in his estimation, it hasn't produced. I know there's some disagreement. We have a couple of problems. We can't afford to lose, but we can't afford to have open-ended support for Ukraine. We don't even have the resources in artillery, much less they don't have the resources and manpower to win a protracted war of attrition. So what is one to do?
Well, this is the reason why I'm here. This is the reason why I listen to your show, the reason why I'm on the show, associated with it, because you have people like Dan Proft, have people like Mearsheimer on talking about this stuff. No other radio station in this region, in the Midwest, puts Mearsheimer on or would entertain a discussion of this magnitude and depth. And that's why I follow you, man, because this is the serious issue of the day. And I think that we can afford to walk away from Ukraine because the American people don't want it. They don't want to support the war in Ukraine. They don't see it in their interest. And no amount of Mitch McConnell war party drum beating will get them involved. They don't want to spend money on it, and they certainly do not want their sons and daughters going over there.
Well, that last part is the real concern that Mearsheimer raises too. Is if his analysis is correct, and we can't stand up if we can't stand up the industrial production to provide armaments, artillery to Ukraine to help to allow them to fend off the Russians for a longer period of time, hoping something would change in the spring, I guess, of next year, then, boy, you've got a precarious position. This administration is in a politically precarious position, and you've got an administration full of expedient politicians who will choose political expediency over the interests of the American people, certainly the opinions of the American people, and that might mean American troops on the ground. Now, again, he says he doesn't believe it will happen, but there's a non-trivial chance that it will. And this is something I hope Mike Johnson brings up in this conversation too, that that is a red line. And so to Johnson's point, you have to tell us what the end game is. It's not going to be, $90 billion at a time every other week. You have to tell us what this is going to do and what we're going to do after whatever you think this is going to do, whether it occurs or doesn't occur. John Cass, Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Ruthie. I love helping people. There's so many people that are down. Sometimes all it takes is a piece of pie to make the sunshine come in their life again. And with the help of Balance of Nature, it's making it more fun and giving me more energy. And I would really like to thank Balance of Nature. These are mine for life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
This special announcement is for anyone experiencing osteoarthritis-related knee pain, rotator cuff shoulder pain, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol and triglycerides, or are interested in plasma donation. Contact Affinity Health today. Affinity Health is running paid clinical trials with no insurance needed. Call 630-491-1900 or go to affinityhealthcorp.com and click Join a Study to see if you qualify.
Think the government is spying on you? Wait until you learn the entire truth from Swiss America, the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years. Let's just say you might want to think twice before making a bank withdrawal these days, because somebody could be watching. It's true. Let Swiss America educate you about how banks are required to spy on us for the government and report any behavior they deem suspicious. You'll be shocked when you read The Secret War on Cash from Swiss America, which is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. It's free to Salem listeners. Get your free copy of The Secret War on Cash by calling or texting 800-630-1495. That's 800-630-1495. This war includes digital currencies too, so please get and read The Secret War on Cash free by calling or texting right now at 800-630-1495. 800-630-1495. Message and data rates may apply.
Life is complicated enough without having to worry about your financial concerns when you retire. In a perfect world, your retirement funds would just be there when you reach retirement age.
But it's not a perfect world, and you really need to look ahead and be proactive to manage the dollars you've earned.
The team at Wealth Management Group can help. Uncomplicate your financial future and talk to the team at Wealth Management Group today.
Call 833-WMG-PLAN. That's 833-WMG-PLAN. Or invest with WMG.com.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Even after 6 days, the New York Times refused to admit that they promoted terrorist propaganda as news. You'll remember they reported, based on Hamas claims, that Israel destroyed the Al-Ali hospital in Gaza and killed 500 people. They didn't even wait for sunrise to check those claims before running Hamas's story. Video and audio evidence supplied by the IDF added to the obvious conclusion in the first sunrise. An errant missile fired from Gaza landed on the hospital grounds. The Times, however, still won't report that. Instead, they wrote nearly a week later that Hamas had failed to make its case, when in fact they never offered any evidence at all for those claims. An editor's note issued a week later, but not included in either article, admitted to relying too heavily on claims by Hamas, without apology or corrective action. The damage has been done. The paper should change its motto for full accuracy, all the terrorist propaganda fit to print. I'm Ed Morrissey.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Yes, sir. That song meets its time. That time of the week for Open Mic Friday. Taking your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Comments, compliments, concerns, criticisms, general crack pottery. We'll take it all. Open Mic Friday is presented by turnkey.pro, your small business partner. Visit them online at turnkey.pro. And we begin with David Kolsak, the founder of turnkey.pro, and Kolsak's questions, as we've come to know David Kolsak, kicking off our Open Mic Friday. David, some thoughts to prompt more thoughts?
Sure. Good morning, Dan and John.
It is pretty ironic that your station is called The Answer, and I seem to be asking a lot of questions. I guess that's just the way it goes. But anyway, most people that know me know that I grew up above an apartment in our family funeral home in Wheeling on Milwaukee Avenue. I was a kid that got on the bus in the morning carrying a stand-up bass with the bass sitting in the front row, or as we say in Chicago, front row. And I sat in the back with the rest of the kids. Sometimes when I was ready for school, my dad would say, he'd be lining up a funeral or whatever, and he'd say, "Hey, Dave, let me take you to school." And that meant throw the string bass in the back of the hearse and have Dad drop me off in his funeral director's suit right in front of all the other kids. And, it was an embarrassing time, but it was cool at the same time. And I was always proud of my dad. I still am. Anyway.
Like the Munsters.
It wasn't that bad. I guess we did have some characters in the family.
Did you play in the coffin room? Did you lock other kids in the coffin room from school?
We would scare them when they'd come in. It was often a prom prank. People would come in and they'd want to ask a date to prom, and they'd get in a casket. It was very morbid, but it was fun. Kids had a good time coming over. Anyways, we 2 doors away was Hackney's, and growing up, it was literally the place to go for us. No dinner, we went to Hackney's. No, you need ice, go to Hackney's. You need a drink, go to Hackney's. St. Patrick's Day, Hackney's. So everything was Hackney's. And the Masterson family was always great to us. They were a great family next door. It was like our own Cheers, but everyone got along, and there were plenty of regulars, right? It was a great thing. And for every Bears game and every major event, there was some way to gamble. Like gambling in the 80s and 90s was everybody did it. Buying squares for the football game, the 13-run pool, fantasy golf, and the local bookie at the end of the bar named Tuna, right? There was gambling on sports, and it was illegal, right? But nobody ever got busted. And I cried like a baby when Hackney's closed next door. It was terrible. But anyway, you fast forward to today, and gambling on sports is not only legal, but it's really encouraged. And first question is, why are there so many pre-game football and baseball shows talking about betting lines and passing yards and everything else? They used to just talk about positions and whatever. And why are there so many commercials promoting these gambling sites? Could it be that they want us, now that they've got a piece of the action, to become addicted to yet something else, right?
Yeah.
And how are these betting lines so incredibly close? Do they have some crystal ball? Are they great at predicting outcomes? I mean, last night, the game, I had $20 on Tampa Bay plus 9.5. They were down big all night long, and they came back and miraculously covered, and they were like one pass away from winning the game. It was nuts. Do they have a crystal ball, or are the games fixed, right? I have no idea. But think about U.S. sports betting. The market's like $87 billion last year, billion with a B. It's staggering. With that much money on the line, they have to get it right? So in every sport, they're given challenges and camera angles and centralized security. Let's go to New York to make the final call. And sometimes, it changes the momentum. It changes the outcome. So why do they have to get it right on every play? Is it because that's the amount of money that's bet? It's really more important for us to know why the guy got if he got a first down, but it's not important. I know, Dan, you're going to like that, that we have that same exacting confidence in our elections. Like election day became election month, and we still have a lack of confidence. And why is that? We have more confidence in sports. U.S. employs, 4 million people, GDP of $25 trillion, and roughly 0.03% of that GDP is sports gambling, but yet we have all these drastic measures to make sure we get those sports things right, but we don't have anything in control to make sure that our U.S. dollars are controlled by elected people and not selected people. Again, everyday person has to say, we should have more security. We should have at least as much as they do in football games. The Romans once said, give them circuses and bread and they'll never revolt. But, clearly sports are a circus, and it dulls the minds of people like me, right? Because I'm entertained while, the world is falling apart, as you guys were just talking about. And, you could say that the media is another form of a circus. Are people still watching and believing what they see on mainstream media? I mean, remember the COVID death counter in 2020? And why is everything so full of drama and fear? And to wind up, have you seen some of those mashups on Twitter or whatever it's called? Literally, it's like the Brady Bunch on steroids, where there's news anchors all over the place in the United States saying the same words on different stations in the same cadence, right? Right. It's crazy. So have you seen that? And so have you ever heard of something called Operation Mockingbird? If you haven't, you guys should look it up. It's fascinating. It started in the 50s. It's fascinating. Operation Mockingbird. Anyway, we've all got our circuses that direct us, and distract us and keep us happy. And I guess my question today is, what's your circus, right? Do you recognize it's a circus and just a distraction? It's really tough to figure out what's real and what's not real these days, and maybe it's just time to turn off the television.
So, to a couple of things in response. One is, are you suggesting like the CEOs of DraftKings and the casinos that be put in charge of our elections? Would that inspire more? Would that inspire more confidence?
No. I wasn't. No, I'm talking about officials. I'd rather have officials that actually cared.
Oh yeah.
And a New York room that actually had replay. And when people bring in boxes of ballots and cover up windows, that's the absolute opposite of what I'm saying refereeing and replay is in sports. That was just really the parallel. That's all.
And Operation Mockingbird was this alleged CIA plot to essentially spread the government's line on the Cold War, right? It was essentially to use newsmen as functionaries for the Central Intelligence Agency.
Stories, essentially.
Planting stories.
Essentially planting stories to make them believable.
Right. And
but
do we see that today? Now we have. CIA, that was kids play compared to what these big tech platforms have done. Now that we know documented, Twitter files being the perhaps the most obvious example of that.
100%.
Yeah. All right. Fair point.
Crazy world we live in.
Thank you, David. As always.
Day.
All right, Colsack's questions. Feel free to respond or comment on any of Colsack's questions, as well as offer any of your own questions, comments. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Before we go to the phones, John Cass, is there anything you want to get included in the conversation before we do?
No, I'm waiting for the general crack pottery. I'm eager for it.
I always like crack pottery, too, myself. Yeah, I do like the crack pottery. Chuck, on the road. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Chuck. Chuck.
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Okay,
yes,
go ahead.
Hi. Just a question. There's been a question about Mike Johnson not having a track record at fundraising. Why can't or why won't Kevin McCarthy continue his efforts at fundraising and vetting candidates if he's truly committed to the principles that he's been talking about?
Well, that's okay. That's a fair question or fair point. Thanks for the call. But nobody's saying that Kevin McCarthy won't. But here's how it works in the real political world. Big dollar donors want to hear from the speaker.
Right.
Big dollar donors want to hear from the head of the caucus. And so, and also, Mike Johnson is not just going to outsource this to Kevin McCarthy. You're the leader. You're the point person in terms of putting together the resources and help, and certainly with a lot of help, not just from Kevin McCarthy, but a lot of others, the entire caucus, frankly, recruiting candidates, fundraising for candidates, defending candidates, making decisions on rank order priority for possible pickups. This isn't something that Mike Johnson would abdicate. If he would abdicate that role, then he would lose confidence and lose the confidence of the caucus. He has to be the material player and enlist the support of the rest of the caucus, his leadership team, and everyone else.
He's got to lead them where
to
they
play
want
roles.
To go.
Yeah.
Basically, there's no real majority, so he's got to lead them where they want to go.
And I'm not right, and I'm not saying that he can't do that. It's just a stating a fact that he's doesn't have the track record. He hasn't been in the position that Kevin McCarthy has, and so it's an issue. It's a question, and he'll have to prove up over the next 12 months.
Also, McConnell. You have a new speaker, but you have an old Senate. What is he, leader, whatever?
Minority leader.
And what's his game? What does he expect? What does he want to do besides take care of his wife's shipping company?
Well, he wants to be Senate Majority Leader. So even if you don't like McConnell, the interests are aligned there to win Senate seats. And sometimes he picks good candidates, and sometimes he doesn't. And sometimes there's spirited primaries, and we'll see what decisions are made. But
how does he get along with Rand Paul, who's going to be headlining at your Freedom Summit?
Well, you can ask Rand Paul about that at the Freedom Summit. I'm sure sure sometimes they agree and many times they don't. Ralph and Wilmette, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey guys, nice to hear you. Thanks for taking my call. In answer to one of the news from the Holocaust denier, thought you'd like to hear one of the Holocaust experts I heard responding to all this was almost laughing, and he said that at the Nuremberg trials, people gave a range of excuses all the way from I didn't do very much in the camps, and I didn't kill anyone in the camps, all the way up to if I wasn't killing people, they would have killed me, or they would have found somebody else to kill Jews. And he made the point that absolutely no one ever, in all those thousands of people, ever made the argument that it didn't happen. So anytime that you hear someone saying that it didn't happen, that's the best way to go. Thank you.
That's a good point. Thanks for the call, Ralph. The Nuremberg, the now infamous Nuremberg defense. They made me do it. If somebody didn't do it, if I didn't do it, somebody else would have. That does not exonerate you morally or legally. Nick, Northwest Side.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. If this situation in Ukraine is just going to be a nightmare because of the unfortunate situation in the Mideast, of course we got to help Israel, and we can't just look at the people there who are the crazies who just want to kill the Jews and kill Americans. Not just Americans there. Some will want to attack America itself. They've said so outrightly, like the Iranians. But if Ukraine falls, it's already a problem, though, because Hungary has agreed last year to pay Russia in rubles for natural gas. Slovakia recently had a new government installed, which is pro-Russian and actually indicates it's anti-American. Then you got Turkey, who sometimes bickers about stuff. And Hungary and Turkey are not supporting it as yet because of certain conditions they want met, and are not supporting Sweden's bid to become part of NATO. Mm-hmm. So these countries, I believe the Article 5 of NATO requires everybody, all the NATO members, to agree on, not that you want to showdown with Russia in a war, but just that there's unity. All you need is one to not go for it. And so this is going to be a big mess. It all starts with Ukraine falling and being completely overtaken by Russia. And I thank you for taking my call.
Well, thanks for the call, Nick. Well, right. I mean, that's something I'm certainly not rooting for, but this is not about rooting for, wishing that wouldn't happen. This is a question of what is the most likely outcome, and is it possible to alter that outcome if it's a negative one, and what would that entail? And then are you willing to do what you think would be necessary to avoid that poor outcome? That's that's essentially the commentary that Mearsheimer was giving. And, because things have not gone well, they don't appear to be going well, and they're, according to him and others, they're in this war of attrition that they wanted to avoid. That was the point of the counteroffensive. There's going to be some very difficult decisions to be made if it goes the way at some point that Mearsheimer suggests is more likely than not. This is, why measuring twice and cutting once is appropriate. And I don't know why people would have confidence in this administration after the Afghan withdrawal, where there was no particular timeline, so you weren't on a clock necessarily. Technically, you could have put in all of the planning and logistical support, taken all the precautions required to avoid the catastrophe that was, and yet it happened anyway. And the criticisms even of this administration, even from conservatives who otherwise support continued funding of Ukraine, is that we haven't gone fast enough with enough to alter the balance of power in this conflict earlier on. And now that's the reason we're here. And I've had that discussion with any number of foreign policy experts on this show, and say, well, my answer is, okay, well, fine. Let's say that you're right. Now what do we do? And the crowd that supports the open-ended funding of Ukraine, and perhaps even more if you get into sort of the Lindsey Graham world, they don't really give you a concrete answer. Okay, we're in a place we shouldn't have been in. It could have been prevented, but we're here anyway. Now, what do you want to do? What does it entail to get to where you hoped we would be at this point, which ultimately is,
Because
of course,
Ukraine,
repelling the Russians?
Funding the Ukraine war in Ukraine is their ticket to power. They lost control of the argument when Iraq backfired against them. And for years since, as many of us walked away from the Republican Party on that aspect, and now they have it, and they're rolling it as hard as they can, and they're riding this horse.
Well, certainly
I'm not riding it. I'm not with
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, certainly the outcomes in Iraq and Afghanistan have created a lot of skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and in part fueled the America First movement
Yes.
within the Republican Party. And I mean, I share the skepticism. I was more of a cheerleader than I should have been in retrospect back in the early part of this century about those, particularly about the state building piece of it, which was a fool's errand. But again, you have to make an assessment not based on punishing neocons or not based on assessing the motives of neocons and others who look at this as whatever, the war party argument, funneling their power, funneling money to their friends, and so on and so forth, aggrandizing their power, funneling money to their friends, and so forth. And you have to look at what's in America's best interests from a national security perspective. What is the geopolitical environment in Eastern Europe, into Central Europe, and potentially Western Europe if Ukraine were to fall, if Ukraine were to be overrun by the Ukrainians? What does that do to this burgeoning Russia-Iran axis, with China using both as allies of convenience? This is truly multidimensional chess. And I just think that we don't have the conversation at the policymaking level in public that we should have to answer people's questions, to provide the risk assessment that is informing the decisions that are being made. And so we don't have confidence, and it leads to what you see happening in Congress right now. And then it 100%. Devolves into name calling, if you don't support the open-ended,
you're a traitor, you love Putin.
Yeah, Putin apologist, so on and so forth. So where does that get us? Doesn't get us anywhere. Certainly doesn't get us closer to answering the important questions. And when you're talking about the prospect, and nobody will talk about this, maybe except for Mearsheimer, talking about the prospect that some people would consider sending American troops, and I'm not talking about special forces, I'm not talking about advisors, I mean sending American troops, as he said, direct engagement. Right. Boy, you better be transparent, and you better start talking publicly before you start putting American lives on the line in a big way.
But this administration is panicking on a variety of fronts, and I just don't know when President Obama has decided to pull the pin on Ukraine or not.
Glenn in Orlando.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I'd like to see a reality show where socialist college students are sent to the country that resembles their desired political system and left to survive for a few months.
Yeah. Thanks for the call. Maybe we start doing like a cultural exchange. One vetted Venezuelan migrant comes here, and one graduate of Northwestern goes there. There's something to that. I like that. Somebody that you vet and says, and you's going to come here and wants to work, and
maybe has
I like
killed zoo animals and eaten them. Yeah.
Well, right. I mean, fleeing the Maduro autocracy, like so many have fled repression. Right. And then, send somebody with, fashionable views that's part of the campus Marxist organization, send them to Caracas and see how they enjoy the experience. Yeah, there's something to that. I wonder how many would be really willing to put their ideas to that test. I doubt very many. Lou, Southwest Side.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the call. Love your show, Dan. I went Wednesday to see Police State, I encourage all you listeners out there who listen to Dan, go see the movie. It's great.
That's the new Dinesh D'Souza movie.
Right. You talked about taking your guns. They'll get your guns in no time. They can do anything they want to. They put you in mass. They made you go to get a shot. What they want is your liberty. Go see the movie. Thanks for the call.
Thanks for the call, Lou. Well, per Lou, for those who missed it earlier in the program, this is what our vice president, one Kamala Harris, Reparation H, had to say at a state lunch yesterday where she was entertaining the PM of Australia about the massacre in Maine and what Australia's experience should mean to the United States.
In our country today, the leading cause of death of American children is gun violence. Gun violence has terrorized and traumatized so many of our communities in this country. And let us be clear, it does not have to be this way, as our friends in Australia have demonstrated. And with that, then...
Okay, yeah. Well, good. Now we know. So let's put that to the test. Let's include that into the political discussion for 2024, which is Kamala Harris just indicated that Australia is a model that we should follow. What was the Australian model? Mandatory gun buyback, 650,000 weapons, which is maybe 20%, 25% of the weapons in Australia estimated. There was no refusal.
Well,
there was mandatory buyback.
No, what happened then?
The guns are going to be taken. It says eminent domain. It says this is to put it in American context. No, I refuse. Well, it's going to be taken, and here's the compensation you're going to get. That's what it was. So let's do that here, according to Kamala Harris. And also, what Australia did is ban semi-automatic weapons. So fine, let's put it to a vote. Raise your hand if you're with Kamala and the Democrats. I like that issue for Republicans. But they should seize on that. Should seize on what she said. Matt in Oak Lawn.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, Matt.
So, John, this question for you. I have a customer who's Greek that knows you and your family pretty well. And I was telling him last week that I was listening to you and your brother Nick on the podcast. He said that Nick is one of the toughest Greeks in Chicago, and he's a martial arts expert. And he said he's a bad dude. Can you indulge us in this?
Does he have a license to kill, John?
Thanks
for the call, Matt.
He is a Renaissance man, right? He's well-read, as you know from listening to him being interviewed with Dan and me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, yes, he is the baddest dude in Chicago. He did 50-man kumite, which means battle, full contact battle with 50 black belts in a row. 50 in a row. One down, the next down, the next down, until he was done, knocking all of them down. I never saw anything like it. 50-man kumite. He's Kyokushin Kai, Japanese hard-style karate, and he's been training with that all his life.
Well, okay, since your
dude.
Well, since your brother has these Bruce Lee / John Wick skills.
No, he's not like it's not like that. He doesn't want to do fancy moves. He'll just kill you with his hands.
Well, all right. So maybe he can be our Charles Bronson in Chicago.
Come on, Jake. Let's finish it. You should have one on the show.
Why don't we just greenlight him?
Right.
We're gonna unleash. We're gonna forget all this stuff. More police, whatever. We're just gonna unleash Nick Cass on the city.
Just call him Mr. Majestic.
Is that his stage name?
No, that's Charles Bronson's.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, very good. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe we've got a solution to the crime problem in Chicago.
It's a lot better than his other nickname, which was Hen Killer, because he shot a couple hens out of the air by mistake when he should have been shooting just cock pheasants. But that's another story.
Stick the hand to the hand.
Yeah.
Right? Steve and Niles.
Yeah, I'm watching TV and the commercials, and I came to the conclusion: if you want to sell something, use scare tactics. Another thing I want to say, as a voter, you have no say so because the politicians override you. That's all I want to say.
Thanks for the call, Steve.
Disagree, Steve.
Tom, Blue Island.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, John. Always good to hear you. I like to consider myself almost straight down the line with everything Dan Proft is politically. I don't think I've ever wavered very much, except for something he said about a week ago, and I wasn't able to get in last Friday. The bastardization of the Sounds of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel, by that disgusting remake by Disturbed. Dan, I've never disagreed with you more in my life. Some knucklehead here in Blue Island plays that remake of that song in a local tavern over here, and because of it, I stopped going to the tavern. It's so annoying.
Well, Tom, I'm sorry we have these creative differences.
Is Dan going commie on us? And we didn't know
It's not commie. Do we have that? David Draymond's, he's the lead singer of Disturbed. His a snippet from his rendition of Sounds of Silence. This goes out to Tom in Blue Island.
No. Get out of here.
Come on.
You look.
The power of that voice.
You don't remake. I agree with the caller.
What do you mean you don't
remake that? And you don't remake Zeppelin.
It gives
leave
a
Zeppelin
little
alone. Leave that.
Oh, gosh, these guys are so traditionalist. Get with the time. A little bit of a metal influence rendition that shows respect. This is like complaining about the remake of Fast Car.
I don't even know what that is.
Tracy Chapman, the remake of Fast Car, and it was this. Oh, it's cultural
Remakes
appropriation.
suck anyway. Original, old school. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of movies, I think there are some covers of songs that are better than the original.
I don't want to see a remake of Reptile, which is on Netflix right now. I want you to go see it. Watch it.
It was only okay. Even though I love Benicio del Toro, it was only okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really like the casting of Justin Timberlake there.
Of what?
I didn't like the casting of Justin Timberlake in the remake.
See that
in Reptile.
Is it a remake? Is it a remake?
No, you said Reptile. You said Reptile. Yeah,
I thought it was an original film.
Yeah, I think it is. No, I think it is original. Yeah. But I'm trying to think of. But I didn't like the casting of Justin Timberlake. But in terms of remakes, thinking of remakes that were better than the original, it's tough to think of one in a movie. But there are definitely songs that the remakes are better. And I'm not saying that the Disturbed remake was better than the original Sound of Silence, but I thought it was an interesting arrangement. And that metal infusion, I mean, that's when you cover a song that you're doing out of respect.
Dude, you failed. Back off. You're on the verge of commie with this thing. Don't go there.
I'm trying to think of what was. I think we've done this before. The remake that was better than the original.
There's no such thing.
Song or movie? I'll take it. Everything. The first iteration of something is always
there's no
the better.
better song than the Song of Roland. Okay, we don't want a remake. It was so good the way it was.
Think about that. Ralph and Rantoul.
Yeah, good morning. That last bit kind of reminds me that but by the way, it's always good to hear your voice, John. That last bit reminded me of I need to find my old CD of the Sam Kinison bedtime lullabies so you can scream your child to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
I got a good remake. I got a remake that was better than the original, Ocean's 11.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
That was pretty good. So on Ruminations from Ralph this Friday,
another segment.
I'm trying. I've been trying to solidify some of the mushy-headed college brains that I'm currently engaged to try to do something with. And yesterday we had a really interesting discussion about pricing of drugs and the whole pharma business. And I'll skip all the details, but because we don't have time. But the main gist of it is most of these kids are completely saturated with these socialist thoughts of government price controls and all that kind of stuff. Now, when I turned the tables on them, though, and I said, okay, fine, you're all going to go out. You're going to be big bosses here because you all got big brains. So
nothing like ridiculing them. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so who are you going to appoint to actually regulate your salaries so that you can be capped in what you're going to be earning?
Ooh.
And how should that work? How should we regulate the ability for you to make money?
And then when did the tears start?
Just a lot of blinking. You could hear the blinking. a lot of blinking, not a lot of talking. Yeah.
Did anybody come up with a clever rejoinder?
No, not a single one.
Uh-huh.
No, a lot of blinking. And then I said, well, as you ponder that in your big regulator brains that you want to unleash on the rest of us, what if I end up regulating your salaries? You going to like that? Because I'm not a socialist, and so yeah, it's I don't think my contract's going to be extended because I'm sure the student reviews are going to be, how the hell did this capitalist ever get admitted to the ranks of our business school?
That's a toxic classroom that Ralph has there. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, I like that. Nice teachable moment. Well done, Ralph.
I think it's a good feature, Ralph. Keep
Ralph's ruminations. Yeah, Ralph's ruminations. Or more like stories from the front, Ralph in the classroom.
Right.
Dawn in Naperville.
You should have a new segment there with Ralph. That's an idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, so John, I'm thankful for Nick and his service, but I want to thank you more for raising a son that decided to go into special education. That says a lot about you and your family. But I wanted to, there was an independent journalist that did some really deep diving into why our kids aren't reading. So for those of us who have kids who live it, we just at the end of the day want our kids to be able to read, but we have to unfortunately do a lot of digging to understand why. And when you realize why, literally your head explodes because there's so much politics involved, and you follow the money, and that's what it's all about. But there's a podcast called "Sold a Story," and for those that really want to learn why our kids aren't reading, that is your mind is going to explode at how the adults who are in charge literally don't care about our children. So follow the money, and I'll tell you what, President Bush tried to fight, and I wish he was more open about how he tried to fight. I didn't know anything about it until my own experience. But the Democrats killed the funding for literacy in our education schools. It's absolutely disgusting. And as a matter of fact, there's another podcast called
Quickly,
The Science
Dawn.
of Reading.
All right.
Do you
Thanks
want
for the
kids
call,
to
Dawn.
read? Do you want kids to read? Mom and Dad read. If Mom and Dad read and the kids see Mom and Dad reading, then guess what? They'll be readers. That's
Chuck and Delavan, 15 seconds, Chuck.
Hey, good job, John. Hey, get on Snake Road, head over to the Getaway, and get yourself a big breakfast if you get here before 1, and then go over to Pierce's Farm Stand and get some of them wonderful donuts and get your pumpkin, and then head back to Illinois. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Chuck. Open Mic Friday, sponsored by Turnkey.pro, your small business partner. Visit them online at Turnkey.pro. John Cass, JohnCassNews.com. Thank you for sitting in.
Thank you for having me.
Goodbye. Good weekend.
They still haven't found him. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and we're about to get an update on the manhunt from Robert Card from State Police in Maine, a Border Patrol unit among those searching for the suspected gunman in Wednesday's mass shootings.
This is what they do. They hunt killers. They hunt fugitives that are a risk to society. But you also have all these SWAT teams that are on the ground. Remember, this is a guy with military training. He's also a marksman, so he knows how to use a weapon.
Fox's Lawrence Jones in Lewiston, 18 people were killed, including Leroy Walker's son, Joseph. He says police told him his son who managed a bar that was shot up, died a hero trying to stop the gunman with a butcher knife.
I knew my son would do something if it was possible. He wouldn't run away. I knew that. He would never run away from anything like this.
The U.S. has gone on the attack in Syria, going after Iran-backed militants who've attacked American forces based in Syria and Iraq. In the past week, Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports from Tel Aviv.
U.S. F-16 fighter jets, a pair of Vipers, destroyed 2 weapons depots used by Iranian-backed proxies. A statement from the defense secretary reads in part, quote, "These narrowly tailored strikes in self-defense were intended solely to protect and defend U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria."
Now, this won't help already strained U.S.-China relations.
A Chinese fighter jet coming within just 10 feet of an American B-52 bomber. That according to the U.S. military, which says the near collision happened over the South China Sea.